the big dragon right now. Let's see what the anti-mage can do about it.
They're gonna go for a fight. Oh, they need to be a bit careful of the curse. They're actually waiting. Okay, that's kind of surprising. Oh, there was a curse bit that was lurking about. They're going back into the pit. Who can pick up the Aegis? It's gonna be the curse thrown up. The Aegis has been snatched up. Shard at the very least for the Morphling. They get the kill onto PP. And it will be the gem on deck as well. But the anti-mage has a second life, and that is pretty big. He's actually walking back to pick up the gem in the process. But yeah, the shard for the side for the YG side, but the most important aspect is that the anti-mage has the Aegis, so he can survive a pretty lengthy fight right now.
To me, the time when this game kind of ends is when the anti-mage gets the abyssal blade. It's the end of the life of the winter wyvern. He cannot survive. He gets abyssal, he's just dead. So this Aegis does give LBZS the timing to get the abyssal blade. Okay, winter wyvern is going for a link, and it's understandable. He understands that at some point there is gonna be an abyssal blade that is gonna be targeting him, so he is itemizing properly. So that's really nice, you know. Even though even if LBZS the latest one get the abyssal blade, the wyvern will be ready. So I'm liking that Yangon at least are looking a bit into the future, understanding which items they actually need.
And of course, you know, he keeps getting ulted by the Pudge, which also does not help for the most part. I think it's in general just a solid Lincoln's game in that regard. Pudge is actually going for the Shiva, so they're gonna have more healing reduction, and that is crucial for these very lengthy fights. Because YG are just getting destroyed by the Scotty, by the Pudge Rot, by soon the Shiva's Guard as well. It's pretty impressive. They're building every single aspect of it. It's kind of surprising that PP is not building it, but regardless, it's looking pretty A-okay. It's actually kind of weird to see young PH have fallen this far behind in terms of net worth, considering he got a free Ags earlier.
But PP is just too small in this game, you know. He doesn't have that much net worth, so he's not gonna be able to get any of the big items. He's just going for the casual armor and stuff like that, you know. That is the only thing you can do. You want the he actually got the full Lotus Orb, yeah, going good. And the plate mail as well. Okay, so he understands once you pop a BKB, the wyvern doesn't deal damage to you, but you need to survive the morphling. That's actually quite smart coming out from the Razor.
Yeah, just stay alive and play distraction so that the anti-mage can clean up the enemy team. You mentioned the Abyssal Blade. It is very close to being done. I assume he'll just make sure that he still has buyback available at the very least in case something goes horribly awry. Because his teammates don't actually have buybacks available, I think. I think PP also used his in the previous engagement. So both teams are looking pretty slim in that regard. Winter Wyvern on the side of YG doesn't have it either, so, but they are going to smoke. They really want to make use of that Aegis before all those buybacks come into play. It is still scary though, because if anyone stands next to the anti-mage and Wyvern gets a curse, that person's dead. Doesn't matter who it is.
They're running into the triangle. I'm not liking LBZS's choice of where they're gonna fight. I think they do have a pretty mobile lineup that allows you to split push the side lanes and side lanes. Around the lanes on the bottom lane and the top lane is the way that you should be fighting. If you run into the triangle and Yangon are actually ready, as you mentioned, the Winter's Curse can kill anyone, and if the fight starts off that way with the nice fatal bonds and the golem, you have lost that fight for sure. If you are LBZS, I'm gonna assume that young PH isn't gonna get randomly hooked anymore.
I might hope so, because that's been pretty disastrous for them. For the most part, the hooks from this, honestly, the Pudge has been playing out of his mind this game. That's the reason that they're still, of course, Kagome on that anti-mage, sure, has been phenomenal, but they wouldn't have gotten to this stage without those Pudge hooks.
Yeah, for sure. The one in the mid lane, I would say, would be the most important one. The fight that you should have lost, and you win it really convincingly just because of the hook. It is something that doesn't happen too often, but when it does, it can really change the whole concept of how the game should have been going. But we can see that LBZS, okay, they're not forcing this shit too much. They understand it is quite dangerous to go super hard. I'm actually not liking the anti-mage going for an MKB. I think an Aghanim Scepter is the way to go in this game, just to break up the formation of Yangon, and when that does happen, it's gonna be easier for your teammates to fight.
They're going for an engagement. There's a big catch because that's the playmaking hero out of the picture. Hooks on cooldown, chase for that Pudge, and Pudge, if he dies, that could be big. Look at the damage he's taking, just melting away slowly but surely, and he's going to get tossed to the side. That's a double kill. That is a Pudge not there for another fight, and the Pudge, okay, they need to keep the creeps alive, and that is a great way of handling the situation. But this Pudge, without him alive, the fight becomes so much harder for LBZS.
Almost impossible, and it's weird that LBZS actually stay there. Usually when you smoke and it's unsuccessful and you start going back, the lanes are gonna start pushing towards you, so you need to deal with the lanes. That is usually a timing for the enemy team to smoke, so usually the team who smoke has failed, at least in the later portions of the game where we are at now. You play a bit more defensively, but putting Pudge in front, thinking, do you really think that you're fat enough? Come on, against the Winter Wyvern, you've gotten melted so many times, so, you know, started praising him. Immediately he makes a really big positioning mistake.
And now Morphling is just hammering away. He doesn't have to fear any hook shenanigans. Maybe the roll toss back could be kind of scary going further forward, but it is still not easy to pull off considering he does have a Lincoln Sphere on to that Morphling. They get the full set of racks in mid, and with Wise, it's pretty much dead even again, and they're gonna look for more. They have to be very wary of the Pudge vibe, the Pudge coming back to life, because that is really the moment where, of course, LBZS want to take a fight. There's going to be the roll in. Lincoln does get popped, and their stun comes up. Can they kill off the Morphling? The Warlord Golden gets dropped in return, and Anti-Mage, he's actually going for the Manfall, but he takes so much damage. The Morphling's got an MKB. He doesn't care about your little butterfly. You will find the Warlock does buy back immediately on the Warlock. They're chasing him.
They found the Morph.
The Mana Void. They take down the Morphling, and that is huge. 100 seconds does have a buyback available in case it's needed. Young PH in the trees going for the TP. Salad, will he guess correctly? Oh my god, almost hits the roll. And they will be able to, at the very least, get away. There's no anti-mage Aegis anymore, so there's definitely a little bit of threat coming in for the side of LBZS, but they really need to clear out, at the very least, those two outer towers at this stage.
When the Morphling has his BKB, no one on the side of LBZS can fight him. You just have to run away from him. And we can see that Anti-Mage is going for an MKB himself. He's going to try to man-fight the Morphling. To be honest, he should be able to do it just because of the Abyssal Blade. But, you know, I would still prefer the Aghanim Scepter. If you create chaos, if you send the illusions back, it's going to be much easier for everyone else on LBZS to position themselves. But either way, LBZS, they get themselves a really good fight. You should push in the lanes right now and prepare for a fight on the enemy side of the map. That is something that LBZS have been gunning for ever since they got that Aegis on the anti-mage, but they just haven't been able to fight Yangon Galacticos on their side of the map, because these guys, they know that if they lose a fight there, it's just gonna be game over.
Yeah, they're being forced back. Obviously, you don't want to buy back on the Morphling right now, but that next Roshan is going to be pretty much probably the team that picks up that next Roshan is going to win the game.
It is a big objective. Right now, it's LBZS in a better position. So Yangon, you can see what the Warlock is doing. He pushed out the bottom lane just so that he can open up the top part of the map for his team. I think a smoke now, just to place vision around your outpost and reclaim it, would be the best move for Yangon. But there's sometimes the teams get a little bit greedy and they just go smoke for a fight. I guess with the Roche spawning, that's something that you'll have to do, not necessarily something that you want to do.
That was one of the fastest possible road spawns, and Aegis cheese plus 3 Ags. You said that he needed to buy an Ag, not the MKB. Well, why wouldn't you just get both?
Yep, that's a good point.
That's disastrous. That is really disastrous.
So, at least Yangon, they didn't fight. You know, if you lost the fight around the Roche pit and still the enemies get it, it's super bad. Now, at least, you can position yourself on the bottom lane, and Razor, again, he's in a really bad position, to be honest. Even with the cheese, I don't see him surviving if they come in with full force. Okay, he understands. He understands that he might get hunted.
And Wyvern does have the Splinter Blast stun now, so that's pretty nice, especially if he does have the shard. I do hope he has the shard, because otherwise the Splinter Blast stun is, well, not necessarily anywhere close to what you want it to be.
Not as good, definitely, but you know, it still is something that can surprise the enemies, especially the anti-mage. You know, this hero usually isn't afraid of spells that much, but when a spell is constantly flying out and stunning you, it can be a problem. This Winter Wyvern, though, I think young PH has dropped the ball a bit on it. He got everything he needed. He had a great lane. It is a free Winter Wyvern game, and just with a few deaths, he messed it up. So let's see if he can maybe redeem himself with the next fight.
Nice curse here would be pretty great. They are all grouped up right now. They're going in on the back line. Get rid of Salad very quickly. Wall of Golden gets up. The damage is going to get pumped out. Do they kill off the enemy Pudge? He is trying to get the hook in, and he will go in for the Wyvern, but the Wyvern does have a Lincoln Sphere. However, the Man of Earth is going to blow him up quickly. Nice curse coming out onto PP. The right clicks will not be able to do any damage yet for PP. He eats the cheese. He's going to get the Gouda. He's going to get taken down, and they finally get the kill onto young PH, the anti-mage. They're just kiting him. They're ignoring him completely in the engagement. Everyone is dying on the side of LBZS. Galacticos is alone and left standing. He's going to go for the fight. Aegis is going to get popped. PP is nearby, but PP is still a little bit too far away. And they're just going to surround and make sure that the anti-mage is going to get chased down. Can they catch up? The stun to be thrown out, and there's the lockdown. Kagome will die. Rampage for the Morphling, and that is KSH going absolutely nuts for the YG side. What a turnaround engagement coming through. The Morphling with that curse, the Wyvern with the curse just barely staying alive as well.
There's the redemption. That is what happens when you're going into the choke point against this lineup. 2 versus 4. I don't think that LBZS can fight this. They need to delay, so they at least have 1 more racks left. Okay, Yangon, they're gonna be really scared to go forward because they did buy back on the Wyvern in that fight. One thing I didn't like for Kagome is that he himself immediately jumped on the Wyvern. I expected him to use some blink fragments, help his team, and stay somewhat close. Because they left the Pudge alone, the Morphling disposed of him, and that was a big deal. Pudge is a big part of the LBZS fight. You cannot allow him to die without a proper response.
They're gonna get themselves 2 sets of racks for the tier 4s. Actually, look at that Morphling go. He's playing full Agi. No fear whatsoever. Does also have a refresher orb built up, of course, from the double BKB shenanigans coming through. And yeah, this is, I'm actually very impressed by that Morphling performance in the later portions of this game. He is looking really good.
Yeah, itemization was on point for sure. He understood what he needs. That butterfly coming out and kind of keeping him alive at that point in the game. He did die once, but still wasn't that big of a deal. And then just countering the anti-mage, making sure that you can have that BKB, that you can stand your ground and kill him. And also having a lot of right-click damage to deal with the Pudge is very important as well, because if you can't go through the flesh heap, it's going to be problematic. The Winter Wyvern is just too big of a target right now. Everyone is going for him, so it's going to have to be used. So KSH understands perfectly what he needs to do, and now LBZS with only 1 lane left, this is what it has come to. You're gonna have to go for a smoke, you're gonna have to go for a team fight, and when Yangon are ready, we have already seen how it ends.
We'll take that. It's a big struggle bus. The next Roche is gonna take quite some time, so I guess you know, you're just going to try and choke out the map as much as possible, but choking out the map is not easy to do against an anti-mage. However, anti-mage can't really go for any split push shenanigans because he doesn't have a buyback. Same thing for PP, no buyback available. It is very scary. Of course, young PH in return doesn't have one either, but they do still have that Morphling. And that is the big problem. If they kill off most of the enemy team, Morphling still can buy back and rejoin the fray. Alchemist also has his buyback available, so they... At this stage of the game, it is going to be pretty rough. Actually, they're just throwing up the high ground. Look at the damage. Back up the action, keeping the Tier 3 tower alive. Wait for him. Just barely dodges the hook in the process. I also like the fact that they placed the Wraithback behind the Morphling the moment he walks up the high ground, just in case.
Yeah, everything now is centered around KSH just going forward. You're giving him all the buffs, the shard from the Alchemist, the sidekick as well, and then there's the Winter Wyvern for a possible counter initiation. They all understand what their job is in this game, and it's up to LBZS to actually jump. You know, this game in terms of net worth, it does seem even, but when it comes to it, LBZS needed to be ahead at this point, and they're definitely not.
Yeah, they're well, on the screen just slightly behind in terms of net worth, but everything's on Anti-Mage side. Waveform gets rid of the tier 3 tower. Hook is gonna miss, and they're just quickly gonna back out. This is a very slow siege. It's not the old classic, you know, Lifestealer Rage or Juggernaut Spin, but the waveform is an interesting approach to try and take down the enemy's structure.
They need to be ready for him now. Multiple times like that, you're just gonna lose the game, especially with the lanes pushing in. You're gonna have to commit some heroes for there. So Yangon, them going in right now, you have to punish it.
That curse coming out, that's the control. Warlock Golem does interrupt the curse for a little bit. They will have a 1-2 trade. Marcy's dead. They cursed and then they hit the golem on top of the curse. That is very bad communication in the team, because the golem completely negated the control that they had previously and vice versa.
I have to say though, the Razor popping the BKB before the curse was the big thing in this fight for me, because he was able to leave the base and actually get all the hate on himself. So and the Razor with a double BKB obviously isn't going to be taking that much damage. Yangon and Galacticos also, one big mistake that they made, the top lane was pushing in, the mid lane was pushing in. You can be patient, you can wait to see a hero dealing with the top lane, you can wait to see the hero dealing with the mid lane and then push the Raxes, but he was too eager to fight at that point, and then the punish did come, because that was the last time that LBZS could have gotten a 5 versus 5 fight, and Yangon gave them the chance.
And right now LBZS are just gonna jump for tier 4s. It's gonna be very rough to make anything happen. There's no Warlock Golem available. Actually, he's gonna get hooked in the process. Suicide Golem, it seems, is the play, but it's just gonna get dropped. Yeah, he does have another Golem from a suicide play coming through. They are going to wait for him in. Salah's dropping low. BKB used on the Morphling. He's going for the fight. They will lose the Warlock, but that's worse than another stun coming up. The Calculator is going for
focusing the throne.
He's trying to take it down. He actually just locks down this Morphling, and that should be game, set, match. LBZS take game number 3. And with that, I am going to be 0-3, and you're going to be 3-3, Harry, because you predicted all 3 games correct. But what a third game in the series.
Yeah, it was a really good game. We got afraid there for a second that the game might not even happen, because Yangon, they had some issues with the internet or power or whatever, but they did come back. They did give us a big show, but in the end they lose. I have to say though, Truman, in terms of draft, now that I looked at the game, I think that it was definitely easier for Yangon Galacticos to play. I have to say, young PH, usually we don't say this about him. He's usually the one that performs really well, but this game he dropped the ball multiple times, and that allowed the side of LBZS to get the lead over and over again, and in the end, you know, one big mistake is gonna lose you the game, but there were a lot of small ones that led up to that point.
Yeah, it was a fairly problematic scenario a couple of times. Like the team fights were pretty nice. However, a lot of the time on YG's side, they stacked their stuns. In that last fight, you had the Winter's Curse and the Warlock Golem, but previously as well, you had like the Unsip Winter's Curse, and during like halfway during the Winter's Curse, they threw the Unsip Concoction, and while that one was flying in, they tossed him with the Marcy. So they just kept stacking their stuns, which eventually meant that Anti-Mage just blinked away. And that was really a very big problem for them from the earlier parts of the game, where it's just they're too eager. They really want to take him down, and they throw everything they have at him. But you can also spread out the stuns, lock it. You know, there's definitely a couple of moments where they just were they really wanted it a bit too much on the side of YG, and LBZS slightly cooler in their mind. The Pudge played exceptionally. Big props to him. It was a pretty good showing and a superb third game with a lot of comeback potential.
Yeah, the hooks were the thing that swapped it around towards them. I think that without some of those hooks, that this wouldn't even be a fight coming out from LBZS, and because of them, they've actually won the game, won the series, stayed in the upper bracket, and Yangon are gonna be in the lower bracket. It is not news to them, but I've seen this team lose against weaker teams so many times when they're in the lower bracket, so hopefully their hands are not gonna be shaking this time around.
No, it wouldn't surprise me if this is going to be the match between the grand finalists at the end of the tournament, because of course LBZS is, you know, pegged as the top dog, so anyone that faces up against them will have some struggles. But it wouldn't surprise me if YG gets very far, even through the lower bracket. But yeah, definitely a big showing and really solid performance on their part from LBZS's side. Took game one. Game one was fairly convincing. In game two, they got absolutely destroyed. And game three was a very close affair, so we really got a nice mix in that regard. But I'm pretty impressed with LBZS. Even though their DPC season was not as successful as I would have expected it to be, they still do show that they are some of the champions of the third-party tournaments.
Yeah, they definitely are, and they, you know, sometimes they do get to the upper division as well, even beat some of the teams there, so they're not to be underestimated for sure. Just the Division 2 this time around was way too strong, but here we're going to be seeing some stats, and when it comes to damage dealt, obviously the Pudge on the side of LBZS will be doing the most of it, and on the side of Yangon Galacticos, man, KSH really did a number on them, but, you know, still not enough.
Kagome getting MVP. I mean, of course, obviously he did a lot, but in my opinion, MVP is for the Pudge 100%. Without him, there would have been no chance they even made it this far. He was playing phenomenally. Kagome, of course, as well. Like, he brought the damage in the later portions, but yeah, it's just, in some situations, you really could see that the Pudge was just phenomenal in his performance. That hook, I still can't believe he hit that hook on Young PH in the mid lane. If he did not hit that hook, I think they would have won right there and then.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But we will be going towards a short little break, ladies and gents. We'll be right back for another series, which would be Rem's Isekai Adventure versus M11, I think. And we'll be going for a short little break until that is ready. So we'll see you then.
There was a thing in the woods. But once a year, it left the woods to feast on us. Then one year, out of the woods came nothing. Another year passed, and another. Over time, we forgot our fear. and turned our backs on the dark. Slivers of the mad moon hang forgotten in our sky, slowly aligning. It is time again. The tide rises and brings with it something dire.
Don't let this party scene fool you. This world is a dangerous place. When you get to be my age, you'll see friends come and go. It's important to take care of the ones still kicking. In the heat of battle, you'd be surprised how far a little kindness might go. But not everyone deserves kindness.
Hello, Auntie.
This all you brought?
Yes.
Oh. Attaboy! I didn't offer to share.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, for, well, the pre-game of game number 2 for the day. We have ourselves an interesting matchup, because what the two teams I don't know, well, I don't know, but I also don't know, is Rem's Isekai Adventure. I've watched ReZero, so of course I know who Rem is, better than Amelia. But they are going to be taking on M11, and that is an interesting team because they do have a couple of players that I do know from well, back in the day. It is an interesting lineup to witness, and well, I'm looking forward towards that showdown, Harry Freak.
Yeah, me as well. I'm definitely not sure what to expect from the teams, considering that you know, one team is a completely unknown for us, and then M11, you know, I've heard of them, but I can't really say I've seen them play anytime soon. So anytime recently, sorry, but so I'm I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can bring to the table to kind of get acquainted with the teams and see how well they do. You know, until we see them against Yangon, against LBZS, we're not really gonna know how strong they really are, just because we have nothing to compare it to in terms of other teams. But we can get a general idea with their movements around the map, I guess.
And here we do get to see Rem's Isekai Adventure. Oh my god, one of their players is called Rem. That's why they called it that way. Okay, they've got Rem, Jed, Zor, Nyx, and Poxy. And I'm wondering from what country they're all from, because two of them, well, they don't really look, you know, region-esque, whereas M11, they are a full Indonesian lineup. Ifrit, Ramsey, Usagi, Hated, and Avinci. I know Ifrit from long ago when I casted a lot of Southeast Asian matches, a lot of Indonesian teams as well, when Puma Esports was still an Indonesian organization. You had them, you had, I think it was, there were a couple of other orgs in that country that were pretty good and pretty solid to watch. I'm curious to see how their skill is right now, because I don't think the Indonesians have been really looking that good as of late. But hopefully we can get to see a bit of a resurgence. And Rem's Isekai, I have no idea who they are. I have zero clue. I am just an open book at this stage, and hopefully we're at the very least going to get to see some very interesting drafts.
Radiant team
I can't believe it here, DkTruman. First, you assume the gender of the Earth Spirit. Now you're assuming the heritage of these players. I really, I don't know what to say. This is a disaster. But yeah,
I know.
Of course,
I know. I'm trying to not sound like that guy, but it, like, I was looking at it and I was like, that guy looks like he's from England or something.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So if Truman gets the hate, guys, I'm all on the train with him. I'm gonna assume their heritage as well. But we're gonna see what they like playing, and it's gonna be a Tusk. So we at least know that they know how to punch people.
He's gonna give him the old 1-2 punch combo shenanigan going through. I do like Tusk. I think it's there have been, of course, like you mentioned, Malrine playing that mid Tusk. That is still, you know, a thing. Offlane Tusk still sometimes gets played, but it is also a hero that it brings a save, it brings a really strong laning stage, and it also brings just in general a superb catching hero. It does actually tick a lot of boxes.
Yeah, it definitely does. I do prefer it in a core role right now. I think if you play it in the offlane, you get a bit more in the tag team department, maybe 2 points, and then you still go for the max shards and the snowball. If you're in the mid lane, people tend to skip the tag team altogether. And now with the Zeus coming out, you know, I'd be okay with the mid lane Tusk. A support Tusk, or even a position 3 Tusk doesn't like playing against the Zeus right now because he just jumps away. But a mid lane Tusk doesn't care that much because he just uses his spells over and over again. It's all about the spam, and at some point you can't finish the Zeus off. So it's we'll of course see where this Zeus will go. But I'm looking at these two heroes and I'm hoping that we already have our mid lane matchup.
We'll have to wait and see what it's going to be. A Monkey King, which also is there that can be a position for, as can the Zeus be. If it's a mid matchup, Zeus versus Tusk, that would be a very interesting matchup. I would assume there's a lot of kill threat between them.
Yeah, there definitely is. Both of them are just spamming the crap out of each other, and then they go for the runes, and then they do so again. Usually the Tusk dies a little bit harder and should get level 6 a bit earlier, just because he's in a melee hero, should get a few denies more, but the matchup can go either way. I've played it, I've seen it being played, and it is actually quite fun between those two heroes.
Okay, it is definitely looking forward to seeing at least some fun, because of course they picked Viper, which is kind of anti-fun coming through. Well, not as anti-fun as anti-mage anti-fun, but to be fair, last game was a very fun game with an anti-mage, which you don't get to see that often. Viper is a hero. We saw it twice being played as a position 5 in the
10
previous series.
seconds remaining.
I would assume that they're just going to bring it back to, you know, off-lane Viper this
5
time
seconds
around, especially
remaining.
considering you're up against a Monkey and a Zeus. Like, this is a very good Viper pick.
Yeah, it definitely is, though it kind of saddens me because a great position 4 that goes with the Viper is the Tusk, and I want to see a core Tusk. Though on the other hand, the Viper is probably picked just to dissuade Team M11 from playing a carry Monkey. So, you know, if they flex it to position 4, you can put the Viper on 5 just to make sure that you are still annoying the Monkey King, and he really, really hates playing against the Viper. It doesn't matter which position, which lane, you just get decimated either way.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of
Dire
those
team back.
situations. Monkey just despises a Viper. Most heroes, I despise Viper. I just...
And you're not
know,
even a
it's-
hero in the game, you know?
No, I'm weaker than a hero in the game. I get cracked by one tag team punch. Hell, one normal punch would probably
10 seconds
break me
remaining.
easily. Nagapan, okay, that is actually...
5
that
seconds
does
remaining.
make very much sense because Ifrit is a Naga player from what I remember back in the day. So I guess they did do their homework on the side of Rem's Sky Adventure.
And of course, if this is the offlane duo of the Dire side, you know, the tag team doesn't do anything against the Naga. You get a few stacks with the Viper mirror image. You don't care about it either. So plus the Viper, not really a big fan of the physical damage. You just send the illusions on him and he's gonna cry. Not really a lot of AoE to clear through them. So I'm actually liking the ban as well. I didn't know about M11 playing it, but I like it overall as a ban. I would do think that illusion heroes, Tusk doesn't really like playing against those.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it's also just a
5
hero that
seconds
is very
remaining.
annoying to deal with because it resets fights, gets the counter initiation going, and with a Monkey King on the enemy side, you know, even though it would be a support monkey, you'd still get like a Wukong's command down during the Song of the Siren, and that can be very hard to deal with or to walk out of, especially if he gets like an Orb of Corrosion on the Monkey King support. The nastiness does add up. So they ban out the Bloodseeker, so that means that Ramsey's Sky Adventure are either going
Dire
for something
team
that is
back.
very tanky, or they're going to go for something that is very... I mean, Bloodseeker does counter both of those pretty strong these days with the Shard, so getting rid of it, if you know you don't want to play it yourself, I think is already a very good choice.
It's still,
10 seconds
you
remaining.
have a lot of armor as a Seeker. You don't care about the Tusk. You heal yourself up with the third
5
spell, so
seconds
the
remaining.
Viper isn't nasty to you as he is to some of the other heroes. And there is a Zeus on M11, so really a lot of reasons, even thus far, for them to ban it. Not only looking into the future.
Radiant team back.
They are going to ban, Alchemist, I mean. No surprise there that Alchemist gets banned up. We see it a little bit much these days. Other heroes that are still available that are really strong. Void Spirit, we saw it in the last series. I think Void
10
Spirit
seconds
should get
remaining.
either banned or picked for the battle, unless this is, of course, that mid-lane matchup that you were
5
talking about, Zeus
seconds
versus
remaining.
Dusk. But a Void Spirit is good against both these lineups very solidly. Just burst them down in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, he doesn't care literally about any of these 4 heroes picked thus far,
Radiant
so
team
it wouldn't surprise me either. But we see a ban, so no Void Spirit, The matchup I like to see also is the Void Spirit versus the Ember. Obviously
Dire
goes
team
into the
pick.
Ember's favor, but with a good approach, the Void Spirit can do well. And now the Dazzle comes out. This might be a Dazzle CK lane coming out from M11, and that is actually an amazing way to deal with the Vipers. So I think Ramsey Sakai Adventure should prepare for something along those lines and give this Viper a little bit of
10
flexibility,
seconds
because he's
remaining.
gonna cry if that is something that goes down.
5 seconds remaining.
Definitely a hero that I'm still not... it was one of my favorite heroes. I still am not getting used to the new ulti. Even though it's been there for quite some time, it still feels very clunky for me. But Dazzle, always a very solid hero. You're gonna need to get some backline dive to get on top of the Dazzle. Think Night Stalker or, well, Void Spirit, but that one's banned. But you need to be able to kill the Dazzle first in the fight, because otherwise Dazzle's going to save whoever is going to get charged at. I think Tusk is pretty okay for trying to get the catch, but you need something added on top to chase down the
Dire
dazzle.
team
Or you get axe and you just, don't give a damn and jump right through that shadow break.
A Pugna comes out. I haven't seen a Pugna ever since
Since
the
the nerf.
since the nerf. So I'm not sure what they're going for here. Is it gonna be a mid lane
10
Pugna? I don't
seconds
think
remaining.
so. I don't really think that works, especially against this Zeus. You're gonna get
5
obliterated.
seconds remaining.
Is this an off lane Pugna?
No, I think it's back to the position 5 bug now.
Position 5?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it pretty much got played the entire time when it still got played.
Yeah,
Dire
true.
team ban.
It still is pretty strong in the lane. A TB coming out, okay. Scotty, then you become stronger against Bristle. To a degree, I would say. Pugna does have 1+, and that is his life drain does have one shot at GP illusion. So at
10
the very least, you've got
seconds
that advantage going on your side if you're Ramsey Sky Adventure. TB is very
5
scary,
seconds
I would
remaining.
say. But Bristleback is one of the heroes that actually is pretty okay again in dealing with a TB.
Yeah, he actually is. He has so much damage that, sometimes you just rip through the armor. Also, Viper and the Pugna are really strong against the
Dire
Terrorblade early
team
on in the
back.
game. So, you have those heroes that if you invade the place that the TB is farming, you can actually bring him down. I guess this is the reason you go for a Dazzle, though. Usually when I see a Dazzle, I expect a very aggressive lane. I guess you can be that way with a Terrorblade. Even when you don't have the meta, you have
10
the
seconds
reflection
remaining.
to actually help your Dazzle harass out the enemies.
5 seconds remaining.
Definitely an interesting draft so far, but I think TB, if this is a Viper Tusk lane against TB Dazzle, I think TB should just get destroyed, right?
Whenever I see the Dazzle against heroes who are very weak level 1, and Viper falls into that category, Dazzle can create a problem. So I'm not gonna say that they're gonna get destroyed, because I think that level 1
Radiant
and 2,
team
the
back.
Dazzle deals with the Viper and the Tusk quite nicely. And then once you hit level 3 with Viper, that's when the second meta comes out, and M11 can be aggressive there. So I think there are some points for this lane to be stronger. You just have to hit them. If the Dazzle, let's say, goes too far out and he dies to the attack
10
team and the poison
seconds
attack level
remaining.
1, that is a problem. But if you play this lane properly with M11, I
5
actually see
seconds
them doing
remaining.
well up until one point.
Dire team
Okay,
pick.
interesting. I can get behind that analysis right there. They are making sure that all the other magic damage dealing heroes that TB sucks against are taken care of. Coddle and the Bat. The Bat would absolutely be superb to deal with the
10
TB
seconds
this
remaining.
game. Also with the rest of the enemy lineup,
Radiant
because
team pick.
Team 11, M11 is super squishy. Like, yeah, sleight of fist, boom, they're all dead.
This is a really good Ember game. No catch. He does so much damage. He's able to finish off heroes even if they're running away with the sleight of fist. I'm loving it. I'm really, really loving it. I think with the
10
Monkey King and the
seconds remaining.
Zeus, you're probably gonna have to put the Zeus in the mid lane. So
5
now you need
seconds
an
remaining.
off laner that, 1, can deal well with the Bristleback, and 2, can catch the Ember Spirit. There's not a lot of things like that left.
Yeah, and you don't really want to lane a punch against the Bristle. What other heroes are there still? You could,
Monkey King off lane with the Zeus 4 and get something in the mid.
Choose
They go
your
for
hero.
the Mars.
it's okay, I guess. It's some, it's the classic offlaner where you're not really necessarily too sure about how to finish the draft, and you're like, yeah, Mars still does a lot of stuff. But looking at these drafts, I really like Ramsey's Sky Adventures draft. I think it's pretty solid, and that Ember Spirit has only really to deal with Monkey King stun, Mars stun, and possibly Dazzle with the Shard. But for the most part, it should be, as you mentioned, a super free Ember game.
Yeah, super free Ember game. You have a Pugna behind you. You have a Viper, also a pretty viable target for M11. Also, a very mobile lineup. Apart from the Viper, everyone runs pretty fast on the side of Remim Sekai Adventure, so they're going to be running towards that Viper quite nicely. And the damage output of M11 towards the Viper until the Zeus has a shard isn't that high. So this time around I'm gonna have to agree with you, Truman. So I think that Ramses Isekai Adventures draft does look slightly better. I am thinking that if M11 surprise with this Dazzle pick in the laning phase, that could change things. But as you mentioned, you know, there is a chance that you just get crushed in that one though. Also, speaking about the Dazzle, look at how weird he looks, because, you know, the Chinese client changes him, and you know, he doesn't have all that paint around his face. He kind of just looks sad.
A sad little clown. I always like the Lifestealer one from the Chinese servers, where it just looks like a naked man crawling on all fours.
Yeah, that is
I
true.
quickly did check, and it seems that the Zore on the side of Rem's Isekai Adventure is from Canada. So I was slightly right in that approach. And Rem is from, I have no idea what flag that is. Myanmar? Is that a Myanmar flag?
I don't know.
Yeah, that
I'm
is
not
from.
gonna...
He's from Myanmar. Rem is from Myanmar. So the team leader, in a sense, is from Myanmar, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can bring, because I would assume that they're playing, like, you know, across the Pacific from Canada, so maybe have a little bit of ping problems, but wouldn't be too surprising if they bring us a big show, because these drafts are very interesting, especially seeing the Pugna back. I love playing Pugna position 5 in the recent, well, before the nerf patch, because they really did that Plague War dirty. Like, that nerf just lowered its effectiveness from a level 2 to a level 1 on every stage, and that is just, it's insane how hard that nerf hit.
Yeah, it really did, you know, though I'm gonna have to say that Pugna was too overpowered, and maybe now he's actually okay, but people aren't used to the hero being okay. They're used to the hero being OP, so some time passes, you play it again, and maybe you find out that it is actually still strong. It's just that you were used to it being a bit stronger, and then you overstepped your boundaries multiple times. And as you mentioned, you know, you could see Viper there writing, yeah, I have lag as well, but the pause isn't gonna fix that. So yeah, he's definitely not looking good in terms of ping. It would be nice to hear from the players to actually say at what ping they're gonna be playing this one.
Yeah, probably a bit problematic for them playing across the Pacific, but
He's playing a Viper though.
yeah, he's playing a literally, like, if you have lag issues, you play Viper or DK, and it's kind of you just stand there and do stuff. Maybe a Veno once in a while. Heroes that don't really do much during the game and just, you know, just take a beating for the most part, is what you want to run. And then you've got the Tusk, that should hopefully be a player that is a little bit more on the mobile side of things. 2 for 2 bounty and trades, no weird early game shenanigan fights like we saw in the previous series. Just easy pickings. And let's see, body blocks from Nyx. Is he gonna get the perfect block against that? It's looking pretty good against the Zeus so far. Oh, he's winning that body block war by a mile.
Dire side is usually easier to block, especially if you want to if you don't stand at your tower to make your creeps run in a line. I don't even know if that's possible any longer, because I haven't seen people block that for a very long time, ever since the runes became so important. Bottom lane.
Oh my god, that's a lot of damage. Ifrit going for more. Get himself first blood. The Tusk is in trouble and will be taken down. Or will he? No, he will not. Won't be finished off. But the Monkey King in the bottom lane, that's the classic start of the laning stage. You start off with the tri-lane and see if you can get a free V kill secured. And, well, you did mention, of course, the Dazzle being superb in that regard in the early stages to lane against. Well, if you add in a Monkey on top who's also got an Orb of Venom, it's going to be pretty problematic. Usagi with the spear stun. He's trying to win it against Boxy, but Boxy wins out the fight. Pugna position 5 coming into play to get the solo kill on the Mars.
See, it wasn't nerfed at all. Not at all. Though I like this. You're playing against the Viper, you want to destroy him just early levels, and then the Viper just won't be able to get that momentum that he's going for. And now they connect with the Poison Touch again, and there is not a man in the world that can save you. And Tusk even says, "Stay there and fight, you coward." You know that is.
Yeah,
that
don't
is how
run
you approach
away.
it.
We're not gonna play any of those soft ass strats that you want to. They did manage to take down the TB in the process though, so that is pretty big at the very least. And in the mid matchup, it should be going pretty even, but there's definitely a lot of kill threat between them. Like, both of them are just a ton of magic damage to burst out in a short amount of time.
Yeah, for sure. Though I'd say with that Terrorblade dying, that Ramsey Sakai Adventure are actually gonna be okay. Can we call them Ria? Is that a possibility? It's gonna be easier because you know, kind of tongue twisters every single time. But the Bristleback got way too much. Now when the Monkey King even rotates to the top lane, he's not gonna be able to change anything. It's gonna be food as well. So you know, you did shut down the Viper, but your Mars got shut down even more than that.
Yeah, and look at the last hits on the TV. He did get first blood, obviously, which is pretty nice, but he also did miss a couple of creep waves. And Bristle's getting full free farm. Mid lane is going pretty even for the most part. But now the Monkey King is going to join in the top lane to help out that Mars. And that means bottom, the Viper might be able to get a little bit more pressure going.
We can see how the observers are listening to our every word. They are always on spot when we say absolutely anything, and that is just how amazing our production and our observers are. You know, for sometimes, you know, doing Division 2, usually it is the play-by-play caster that is observing. So it is always nice having the observer and communicating with them.
Yeah, I tend to never listen to my analysts and watch a completely different part of the map when I'm handling the camera, because I'm just that kind of guy. It is also, you know, it is hard to do camera work while you're casting. Without doing the casting, it's also pretty tough. Leveling the shallow grave already to stay alive and deny that kill from the Tusk. That is the second meta used as well from the TB. So we'll be able to at least gain control in the lane. We'll be automatically pushing the lane because they hit like a truck. And actually, they're going in onto the Pugnard. Though, in comes the Viscous Nasal Goo. Snot Spray, can he get the damage in? It's going to be close. No, he will not be able to finish him off. And Hated should be fine as well with the Jingu Mastery stacks.
Yep, but nicely leveled up with the Grave there. I like it. Oh, mid lane. Is he in trouble?
Might be careful in return, because that is pretty painful. That slow is so stupidly strong. And Nyx needs to run away quickly. Does get himself underneath the tower, but he's still going to get zapped upon zapped upon zapped. And a big kill secured for the Zeus. Getting him to level 6, he's going to TP back to base. Get every region that is needed. But the big problem is that now you got to be careful on the side of Ria, because otherwise, you're going to get zapped from the mid laner.
Yeah, I think M11 are probably going to try being aggressive now in the bottom lane. You would want a level 4 and Dazzle. Level 2 Poison Touch is a really big increase in terms of slow. The thing I don't like from the Dazzles is when they get more points in the heal. I think the heal level 1 is more than enough. It doesn't give you that much. Now with the change, maybe, but I don't think so. The Grave and the Poison Touch are just so much better. And Nyx in trouble again.
Monkey King going in, trying to get the catch. Too salty. One more right click, one more zap. No, Nyx gets back in time. And actually, the Monkey's taking a heap of damage, but Nyx does not have a Slight Fist Searing Chains combo.
That was twice in a row the Zeus stops before using his third spell. You need to be moving. It doesn't work as a force staff. It works if you're moving, you jump forward. If you're in place, you're gonna jump in place. So that's twice in a row. Even earlier when he was chasing the Ember, I think he could have easily just walked towards him, used the Heavenly Jump, and the first kill would have been easier for him. And now he makes the same mistake, which in return does allow Nyx to survive.
It is looking pretty okay with the TB getting absolutely stacked on farm right now in that bottom lane, which the Viper is just really struggling. This Hated Monkey King is, well, he's definitely hated right now because he is doing a lot of work to just annoy the enemies, hunting in the tree lines as much as he possibly can. Nyx is rotating through. Can they find the Monkey? The Monkey is already gone, and yeah, rotations are being made to catch him, but they won't be able to secure him in place whatsoever. I've actually casted a series recently as well with a Dazzle who went from max level healing wave. Actually does manage to get the turnaround kill and hated rotating again. Very successful Dazzle Shallow Grave, saving his life a second time. But yeah, he went for a healing wave max level, and then he went for max level Shallow Grave, and his first item that he bought was the shard.
We casted that one together. It was the South American series. Yeah, I definitely didn't like that one. I mean, now when they've changed that the grave actually does give you a little bit of a heal amplification, getting more points in the heal does have a bit more benefit to it, but I just don't see it. I think the grave and the poison touch are just so much better, and you know, even when you have an illusion-based hero. True.
I would say it depends on the lane. If you've got like a PL or something as your safe laner, then the heal bomb is just magnificent. TB is like okay, because the illusions can still like get that big healing clump coming through. But for the most part, I do agree, like the poison touch is just so incredibly strong most of the time. Nice usage there to try and keep the Viper alive for a little bit longer. They will get the kill. Hated is on a dominating streak, will die immediately afterwards. Zeus ulti gets used, and now the Pugna is on the run. Decrepify will be up in a couple of seconds, so he should still be able to survive easily against that TB and walk it off. But yeah, that Monkey King is doing stupid amounts of work.
Yeah, for sure. Creating space, going towards the bottom lane multiple times, and just making the game easier for the Terrorblade. You know, you could say, yeah, but the Bristleback is getting a lot of farm. Yeah, but when it comes between the two of them, Terrorblade is one of the heroes that if he has enough farm, he can deal with the Terrorblade. I'm not, with the Bristleback. I'm not gonna say with ease, but he's one of the heroes that doesn't care that much about the amazing physical damage that the Bristleback can pump through. So the Bristleback needs to be a little bit ahead, and with this kind of a start, the Terrorblade might actually be at his heels for the entirety of the game.
Yeah, it's especially that Scotty timing. If you get a good timing on the Scotty, the slow against the Bristle is just absolute phenomenal. The healing reduction as well, which is going to be a big plus coming into play. There's, of course, you know, he is one of the heroes that has some very good armor reduction, but Mantis style, you get rid of the debuff from the viscous nasal goo. There are definitely tools for this TB to deal with the Bristle. But on the other hand, the Bristle does get really tanky at the later stages in the game. And okay, they're going back in. However, look at this. The TB is dropping low. The magic damage is just too much this time around. Shallow Grave did not come out in time, going for the TP, but will be cancelled in return. And that is going to be a double kill with the TB finally falling. They had a really good rotation from that Ember Spirit coming through as well. And finally, they get something in favor of Rhea.
This is what happens when you get a little bit ahead of yourselves in terms of the TB. This is not a hero that stays in the lane long. It is not a CK. It is not a lifestealer. It is not a Juggernaut. You need to run to the woods at some point. And because of this, they're going to be losing so much more. They're coming over to defend the Zeus because they have to. And bring in the Mars, they can actually defend the tower.
That's gonna be a bit of a scary affair. Snowball in, but there's the arena getting dropped and a double kill secured very quickly. That was half a second and they were all gone. And they will find the third themselves. They got, well, you said get ahead of yourselves, and that is exactly what they did on Rhea. Did not even consider the fact that there is also a Mars with an arena in the server, and he does a lot of damage in a very brief amount of time, especially with the Zeus backing him up.
Arena is the best tower defending spell early on. We can see the Terrorblade got the Arcane Rune. He wants to use the Sunder, but he's getting a little bit too low for comfort. Okay, he will be fine. Yep, that's gonna be okay. But you know, when you're Rhea, they didn't know that the Zeus was already there. They probably thought they need to TP in the Mars, the Zeus, everyone needs to come over. But with two gods together, there's nothing on the side of Rhea they could have done. And this is the thing, M11, they defend the bottom tower, and you know, the Viper that should be overtaking that lane and the TB that needs to be leaving it, they're still keeping the tower alive, which is a big hit to the timings of Rhea.
But look at this stack though. Look at the juicy stack to be secured for the Bristleback. And that's a lot of gold going his way to get that Ags up as fast as possible. Actually, he's going for some magic armor first before he starts building up the Ags. Is going to be top net worth all of a sudden, but this Viper is, you know, a Viper that is behind is going to be a very sad hero the rest of the game. This is also a Viper who's playing with very high ping. So that might be a definite struggle later on. The Mars has so much more impact as a hero.
Yeah, especially against the bristleback. Every single time you use the spear, you turn him around. So it is actually a really good tool against the bristleback as well. And this Viper, his job was to kind of slow down the Terrorblade. Well, 5.6k net worth Terrorblade 12 minutes in doesn't really seem to slow down.
The game looks pretty good here for M11, I would say, for the time being. But the bristleback, it's all about that timing when he gets his axe, and then it's becoming a massive monster. Aisha's block not going to completely hit the mark. Wukong's command comes down. Inside is just a spirit, a life drain coming through. But yeah, the Ember is the big damage dealer at this stage of the game. Has an Orb of Corrosion as well. He's going to bring in the heat. Literally speaking, they will find one, make that two. Monkey jumping away. TB TPing in with the meta on. That is a very interesting and ballsy approach. He needs to be a bit careful. Does have a Sunder play, does get the Sunder off, but TB is just going to get straight up melted. And again, Ifrit making a huge mistake. Gigantic teamfight victory for Rhea, and the Bristle's not even there. He's towards mid. He's just getting his farm on.
This is the difference between tier 2 or tier 3 teams and tier 2 and tier 1 teams currently, is that the tier 2 and tier 1 teams, they've known it for a very long time, but tier 2 teams now with the DPC have learned when it is time to let go of things. You know, tier 1 team would say, we have defended that tower for long enough, we got everything that we needed from the bottom lane, let's just bail. But M11, because a few fights went their way, they're like, we're gonna continue fighting bottom over and over and over again, but at some point Rhea are gonna come in numbers and they will beat you. You're not gonna be ready, and given that they're coming for an aggressive play, they are, and exactly what happens there. You lose so many heroes and you lose the tower, and all of the lead that you have been accumulating, it is gone.
And that TV's farm is dropping significantly, and during all of that, Bristol's just continuing his farming frenzy. He's looking really strong at the moment, and honestly, this game is slipping out of control for M11, because that TB is the only one that could put a, well, not the only one, but one of the only ones that could really put a heavy dent in onto the bristleback. Zeus is pretty okay for it because of his shard later on, at the very least. 9% burst is pretty good against the enemy hero, but for the most part, this Bristle is gonna feel like he is gonna be invincible this game.
The thing is, you're playing against the Ember. Mars has, you know, he has to choose. Am I gonna be hunting the Ember, who's gonna destroy my Zeus, or am I gonna be hunting the bristleback with the spear to turn him head towards us so that we can kill him? And if the Ember just gets into the backline, it's gonna be hard to choose. And we're just seeing now, even the bristleback gets in on the action. His farm is looking really strong. I'm hoping he's not gonna be buying a BKB and before the axe. It's probably not gonna be the case. It's just Dota. They're showing us that we wanted the BKB first for a second.
Yeah, there is a possible catch in mid though, jumping in, Spear Arena, and that's a good catch. They will lose the Zeus regardless though. Ember actually gets away. Oh, that is big, but the buyback Zeus and Nimbus has been used just to make sure that the Ember Spirit at the very least dies. They will find the Pugna next. They're spending a lot of time and effort on these couple of heroes, but you know, you kill the Ember, great, but it did cost you a buyback on the Zeus. And that is pretty big. He just jumped significantly down below in net worth.
Rhea are showing that they understand the target priority. The Zeus has to die. Both the Ember and the Tusk do want to be on him. Obviously, with the Ember being caught, he couldn't do it, but the Tusk himself did the job quite well. This is the thing. The Zeus needs to itemize correctly so he can't get caught. Usually we see Sanj and Kaya and you're just tanky enough, they can't kill you. Maybe this is the type of game that you go for a lens actually and never even show yourself.
Yeah, you kind of need to stay hidden as far as possible. Of course, you want to go... These days I don't think Zeus is going for like Ags until, you know, that fourth item. Aether Lens, Blink Dagger, sometimes even in Kaya Sanj. They tend to go and then Ags, but I think this might be a game where you might be wanting to get Ags a little bit sooner, because otherwise you're going to be too close to the team fight every single time, and Ember and Tusk are just going to chase you down. And they have, like, Arena's pretty good, but it's still not that good. It doesn't get the Tusk off of you.
Yeah, and the Tusk can pull people out of the arena with the snowball. All that can happen. He almost pulled the Ember in, so if that had happened, it would have been a complete disaster for M11. In the end, with the buyback, at least they do secure the kill. So right now, M11, there is one thing going for them. The mid lane tower is down of the enemies, and they have a Mars. But the thing is, you can see that Tria is understanding that they're playing the bottom part of the map really deep, and they're not allowing M11 to smoke and go towards the Bristleback just because of their aggressive positioning.
Doing a pretty good job of playing map control. Well, to a degree. TB is second in net worth, and he's almost back to the top spot. So they are not hunting him down. And honestly, Ifrit should just focus on farming. That's literally his goal right now. Get farmed, get that Manta, Dragonlance Scotty probably. I don't necessarily know exactly what build he's going for on the TB, but I assume Scotty is on his mind because it's right now it's one of the strongest tools that your team can have this game.
I think you go for Dragonlance Yasha Skadi or Yasha Skadi BKB. Those are the ones I think are the best one overall, and in this game in particular. You don't necessarily need the Manta super early on. You do have the Dazzle to save you from all of the pokes.
Yeah, Dazzle is going to be crucial. Well, that's the thing. They're going to dive to Dazzle. They're going to dive to Zeus. Actually diving the Pugna right now. Zeus ulti gets used. The Bristol is in a little bit of a tough spot, you would think, possibly, but actually he does not care about the Wukong's command at all, and he did not even take... He took 150 damage there. They look for more. That's going to be the Dazzle in trouble. The Dazzle, does he have a shallow grave? No, he does not. He has nothing. He's taken care of. And they're looking for more. It's a 2-for-1 trade, and honestly the ultis, the plus side of the Riaz lineup is that they are not cooldown dependent whatsoever. Every hero on their side has very short cooldowns, and they will be able to even get the Mars on top. So if you use your arena, if you use your metamorphosis, if you use your Thunder God's Wrath, that is the moment where Ria, no matter the situation, they can go in.
For sure, and we could see there the Tusk and the Bristleback working together. Just two guys, they met in a bar, they fought like men. One lost, the other one won, but it doesn't matter because now they have bigger enemies on the other side. And Ags on the Bristleback. You mentioned the Terrorblade and his farm, but the thing is that the Bristleback always hits the timing first. So now for M11, it's survival mode. How are you gonna split push the lanes? How are you gonna force the fights? How are you, let's say, how are you gonna die? Because you have to die on the enemy part of the map right now. You need to force out those TPs, because if you're fighting on your side of the map, you will lose, and the objectives will follow.
Oh, Roche is dead, and if he comes walking out to just die? Question mark. He does pop his meta, and they're actually going to dodge him for the time being, but they're chasing for more. This is a Bristle with an Ags. You got to be very careful how you're going to try and engage him. The problem on the side of Rhea is that their mana is dropping pretty low.
They found the Zeus.
Oh no, the root comes in, and that is going to be a big kill. Zeus is dead again. Water Sponge for good measure. 75 seconds. No Zeus in the business. Aegis on the Bristleback as well, and that's going to be probably the tier 2 tower towards mid being secured.
That's
and no meta either.
Yep, no meta, you can't fight. I mean, you wouldn't want to fight anyways. Zeus there screaming, I'm burning, and yeah, the Tusk, he comes to cool you off, but in this scenario, it's not really it's not really something that you were hoping for, at least not in that way. So M11, they get absolutely obliterated, and I'm actually surprised they decided to fight there, because then again, that is a fight on effectively your side of the map in a situation where you cannot win. This Bristleback doesn't lose the fight right now at this point, and M11 need to find ways to dodge him, and to if you have to give him kills, just do it somewhere else, not close to your tier 2s.
Yeah, they're just looking so freaking solid on Rhea. I like the fact that they're such a non-cooldown reliant lineup, and they're so aggressive in their approach as well. They know that the TB is going to be scary later on, even though that you have a godlike Bristle at this stage. You have to be careful. Monkey's going for the Orchid. I like it, especially against the Ember, but I would assume Ember has his BKB, or should have his BKB momentarily regardless. So it's a little bit on the later side, even though the Monkey had such a good early game. He is bottom of all the heroes in terms of net worth, and again they find themselves a Mars, and that is because this Tusk, like, it started off with the Monkey King doing everything, and then now the Tusk is just making plays upon plays.
Yeah, he's catching everyone. I also think that the Ember is going for an Axe first. I think that's the play that he wants to make. Yeah, there it is. The Axe comes out. He's not going for a BKB. He just wants to catch the Zeus. And, you know, the Monkey King, his Orchid, is he's not going to have it that early, considering that M11, they can't really win a fight. They can't even get a kill.
Yeah, they are definitely in the struggle bus. The Dazzle's going for the shard next. He has the Holy Locket, actually. Does do a decent amount of healing, of course, with this ulti these days. And it is a nice tool, but the problem is, like, there's so much burst on Rhea's side that little bit of healing is not going to be able to keep the Zeus alive.
You literally, the second the Zeus gets gone on, you need to use the grave, or you need to run into someone on the side of Rhea to make something happen. Okay, they're gonna be engaging.
Nice. 3-man arena coming out. The spear stuns up the Bristleback as well, but they're just, well, actually everyone is losing their lives except for the Bristle. He's just standing his ground, doesn't mind losing the ages in the process, and will lose his first life. There is that metamorphosis still going on strong on the TB. He's looking for more. It is that Ayascati slow that is very nasty to deal with, but the Ember joining the fray, they have to be very careful. Actually, it's going to be the Tusk blown to smithereens, and all of a sudden the fight's going in favor of M11, because they were pretty much just standing there with 3 heroes trying to push the high ground. For no apparent reason, they were kind of lacking their Monkey and the Tusk. And especially the Tusk, because you mentioned a very important fact. In case it goes wrong, Tusk can always save you out of the arena.
And I think the main problem there also was the Viper, who popped his BKB and started fighting. I expected him to pop the BKB and walk out of the arena, because he's the one that the Terrorblade is actually afraid of. The Terrorblade is not afraid of the Bristleback, and if the Terrorblade is in front, the Bristle can't really get into the back lines. So I think Rhea, they had a solid idea, but the execution wasn't there. Or in my mind, I think that high ground push was okay in terms of forcing out some spells, but they just got a little bit ahead of themselves. I think they thought they were stronger than they actually were, and that Skadi of the Terrorblade really caught them on guard, especially the Viper.
Yeah, Skadi is a pretty scary tool, and you can also see Bristle is capable of being taken down. If he is not careful enough, he's going to go BKB, AC. But there's also the shard from the Zeus. You see that damage he just took from a little bit of lightning coming in. It's not like it's only the TV that brings damage. If they can keep the Zeus alive, he's going to be able to pump out tons and tons of damage in these fights.
Me personally, I've never been hit by lightning. Hopefully it stays that way, but to be honest, Bristleback took it like a man. Either way, now the chase is on. Nyx has found the Dazzle, and this is a perfect way to start off a skirmish.
Dazzle down, but can they even get anything more? Hate is jumping around the trees, trying to get himself some a good vision and staying alive in the process. Maybe cut the creep wave towards mid as well. That would not be too surprising. Though there's an Ember with an Axe very close by, so if you do that, you're probably dead.
I'd say that ended up perfectly for M11. I think the Terrorblade went a bit too deep. He could have gotten the same effect with Illusions, but you go there, you force out TPs of Rhea, you lose only the Dazzle, and it's on their side of the map, giving your Terrorblade even more time to farm. And now he's going for a Silver Edge, so putting it all in, dealing with the Bristleback. I think this puts even more emphasis on the Viper, how important it is gonna be for him to stay alive, because he has to keep this Terrorblade off his Bristleback. If he can't do that, then the Bristleback will just be annihilated once he's broken.
Yeah, Silver Edge would be nice. Ember's going for the Kaya Sanj and Shard. Well, the Shard makes a lot of sense because you went for an Axe Rush. Kaya Sanj, also not too shabby. Extra magic damage is always a nice plus, but this is a pretty good catch. Should not really be able to run away. Don't want to pop with BKB there, especially with the cooldown being so incredibly long these days. After the patch change, using a BKB, you know, in the last second before you die is honestly not worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Though, you know, I'm I was kind of thinking maybe he pops a BKB. You know, he did say he had some lag issues, so maybe you see the jump of the Mars a bit too late because of the ping. You click the BKB, it doesn't happen, and then sometimes Dota just remembers it. If you don't have the presence of mind to just spam S or whatever your stop key is, you are your BKB could come out even though you didn't want it to.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
There are some fun little issues like that every once in a while. Though Bristol does have the AC done. The thing is with BKB, it's a great tool, especially against the Zeus, because the Zeus is doing stupid amounts of damage. But it does like nothing against the TB. TB Scotty still slows you down, makes life absolutely horrid for you to deal with. So it's a great tool, but it's not going to be the saving grace to get all that BKB defensives, and they don't have that much control. I guess the Mars Spear is the biggest problem for the time being, so that it locks him down, and in the arena as well, that you can't run out. That's primarily the reason why they're getting it. I just saw the Mars's health bar go from half to 0 in 1 hit.
Yeah, because this guy has a rock tied to a rope and he punches you, so that the guy has to hurt. Either way, I'm thinking though, you know, it isn't really the Bristleback's job to deal with the Terrorblade. You have an Ember, you have a Viper, you have a Pugna. Those three need to be dealing with him. They need to be preventing him from attacking with the Crep. They need to be dishing out the constant amount of damage with the Ember. And then once he gets
What?
slow...
Okay, that's also a way to okay, that's why I was already contemplating why the BKB wasn't being built up in the Ember. And yeah, he went for Kaya, and now he's thinking, BKB is a pretty good, useful tool against the Zeus that... I mean, his shard does 9% of your max HP burst. Just boom. And with the normal damage that you already do. That is insanely high amounts of damage.
And Ember is the kind of hero that likes to be deep. He likes to be playing on edge. Without the BKB, we just saw how it ends. I was about to say you can't do it. Well, obviously you can. He just showed it, but this is the end result, which is going to be your death.
There's that Silver Edge TB coming into play, and they are looking for the tier 2 tower in mid. Yeah, that TB is starting to get to unreachable heights at this stage, and Bristleback is a great hero, but when you get to the late stages, you're up against a TB that has what, 80% physical damage reduction at one point. It's actually insane how much armor gain that hero has.
It's just it's not fair. The Bristleback right now, after seeing his Ember getting smashed, he's probably not thinking that his Ember is going to be dealing with the Terrorblade, so he has to do it himself. He's trying, he has an AC, he has a BKB, the Basher will help you a bit, but none of those items scream a big Terrorblade counter, and they're just the classic items on the Bristleback. It's not like you can get anything other than that and be much stronger. Next Roche is gonna be the big part here for Rhea. The Terrorblade still has the meta, so it's not gonna be the easiest fight, but it does give you a chance to pull M11 out of position. So they have this lineup that is really good when the Terrorblade stands in front, like no one can touch me. If you go for him, there's an arena, there's a Wukong's command, there's a grave, there's the Zeus dishing out the damage. But if you can force M11 to run towards you and kind of break apart their formation, then Rhea's lineup can really shine. So I think going into the pit, poking, and forcing M11 to come for a fight would be a pretty good approach.
Well, they will cut the tree and find the monkey hiding in, well, unfortunately for him, it's hiding in plain sight because they had the full vision gain, but Zeus got the Ags. Now finish up, he's going to go Octarine Core and get himself to level 25 ASAP. I'm wondering what build he's going to go for, because I've seen people go for either the extra lightning damage or the AoE lightning bolt, which I think the AoE lightning bolt, if you're going to play long range, is superb because it also works on the Nimbus, which is kind of cool. They're actually in the Roche pit, but the only one there trying to defend it and keep them busy is going to be that Mars. He's doing a very good job because bottom side of Rax is being pushed in as we speak, and they need to get that Aegis quickly and get themselves back because TB is just going for the Rax in the meantime, and that is huge coming in for the side of M11. Yes, you do lose the Aegis, and the shard in the process. Or does he get away? Oh, nice Hex coming out with the shard from the Dazzle. Gets the TP to safety as well, and TB will be able to get out. That is a big play, because you're constantly going to get pushed back in that bottom lane by the TB illusions.
To be honest, I think that Rhea should be okay with this. There is no meta right now. If there was ever a time to make a play, it is right now. And when I say play, I mean just to go full on forward. Without the meta, the Terrorblade just isn't that scary to the Bristleback, and you can definitely make things happen. I'm liking that they're first out pushing all the lanes, so that if M11 really do turtle themselves in the base, that you have plays to make on the map. So Rhea doing a good job right now, and you know, if you take back the lane of Rax, all of that from effort from M11 is actually going to be for nothing.
Yeah, it is.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Gonna be pretty important to get this push going. They're trying to get some split push headed in favor of M11. But yeah, we saw that Ember just get evaporated. Will that happen as well here to the Bristol? Look at the damage he's taken from a couple of these lightning stabs. It's actually a lot.
Broken him.
That's going to be the first life already taken care of. There is no Metamorphosis available on the TV. He's trying to take a fight on the backline before the Bristol comes back alive. He's going to pop the BKB. Zeus ulti gets used. The Bristleback is going ham, but he's actually losing so much HP.
He's losing.
Oh, he is going to stay alive, and they get the turnaround. Terrorblade does not have a buyback available, and that is going to be the team wipe, but Bristle does die in the end. And he's the one that
Zeus
has
is still
to
alive.
the building. Yeah, Zeus does bring a lot of damage, but he's going to walk a little bit too close for comfort and will get blown up because of the just sheer damage and the mobility on the Tusk and Ember. But in comes the monkey.
Bristle buyback.
Continuation. Bristle bought back in the process, but so did the Zeus and so did the monkey.
Ember has a buyback remnant behind them. If he wants to, he can go buyback and kill the Zeus right now, but he didn't want to do it immediately. I think he's gonna be regretting that choice a little bit, because if the Zeus had died back there, the Bristleback would actually be untouchable for sure. So I'd say a little bit of a misplay, but they're gonna go for him either way.
Yeah, he's gonna get absolutely jumped. Buyback from the Dazzle Shallow Grave there a little bit deep. That could be a big kill if they find themselves the Bristle. The heal comes out. Bristle is still lurking about, trying to get the catch in.
Can the Zeus survive?
Fountain. He's going to be able to just barely survive. Ember did buy back for this as well. They're still looking for the bottom set of Rex. TB is up in a little bit, so they need to bail. And with all those buybacks coming out from both sides, the advantage lies in M11's favor here, because TB, he didn't have a buyback, but he also didn't buy back.
Yep. I think Ember is gonna be regretting his choice after this game, which, because he didn't immediately buy back and kill the Zeus, they are probably going to lose. The Zeus was literally standing next to the remnant that the Ember had placed, and he had a buyback. He could have come over, he could have came over, he could have killed the Zeus, and that would have been such an easy approach from Rhea. They would have gotten the racks and who knows what more.
That is a very unfortunate turn of events for the side of Rhea. Now M11 up the high ground they go. They already got the bottom melee racks, and they're going for more. There's not really... there is a decent amount that can stop them. They still have to be very careful, especially the Zeus. With the Tusk being dead for quite some time and now finally respawning, the Zeus doesn't have that much to fear, because if only the Ember jumps him, the Dazzle can save him. But if the Tusk jumps him, they might have enough damage to burst it down. They're just going to go for Megas here. They are rushing it pretty hard. The Nimbus on top of the TV as well. And they're just munching away at these buildings. TP has, I think, the money for a buyback soon enough. He also has himself the full Satanic finished up, so he will be able to regen where necessary. I think there's only a range Rex left still in the bottom lane before we get those Megas secured.
Rhea needed to go right there and then. With 3 lanes, even if there are no mega creeps, the next Roche will definitely go into the hands of M11, so Rhea are gonna be forced to smoke out either way. This was a good time to possibly jump the Zeus in the backline, but okay, they waited for the meta to end. Now it's time for a smoke, though for some reason they've smoked only on 2 heroes. Okay, that was actually a visual bug.
Radiant are scanning.
Yeah, it tends to happen, but yeah, there's a backdoor. Well, not necessarily backdoor, but it's hard to deal with. They also have to fortify for it, and it's the range rack, so it does not heal. You can just send an illusion at this stage, and it doesn't really, like, backdoor protection doesn't really help you. An illusion is enough to kill off that range racks easy, and it does fall. They get mega secured on the side of M11. And Rhea, yeah, that you mentioned it. If the Ember bot back there, they probably would have been able to secure at the enemy's base in that previous fight.
That was, you know, sometimes you're hesitant, you're not sure what you want to do, and suddenly you have a 1% chance to win. You know, just a minute ago, that was much more towards you. Maybe you weren't favored to win, but you definitely could have made a really big stand there if the Zeus was dead. Now the Bristol without the BKB, he's just not a problem, because Zeus with every second spell he takes away such a huge chunk of his HP that the Bristol just can't fight. Right now with the mega creeps on one side, Rhea are gonna stay in their base, and M11 can choose how they want to approach the fight, and the Terrorblade just rips apart the Bristol back. We're just seeing that right now.
TB is going Swift Blink as well. He's very fat. That Zeus also, like, the output damage on the Zeus is ridiculous. The Ember just melts. Everyone actually just melts. Even the Bristleback, once he got broken, he just vanished on his first life. And the second life, he survived for quite a decent amount of time. But definitely not a hero that can easily stand the test of time. Hated actually went for a full Bloodthorn rush up. That one, okay, that one I find weird. Like, Orchid, sure, but Bloodthorn?
I mean, it is one of the tools to deal really easily with the Bristleback. You know, you do have a Terrorblade, so all of the illusions are going to be doing massive amounts of damage. I'm okay with it. Plus, the Monkey Kings like to get the Mage Slayer. You know, you're up against the Ember, you're up against the Viper, Pugna. All of them do magic damage, so it is okay. I'm fine with it. We are seeing so many monkeys building the Mage Slayer as well in positions 4, so why not upgrade it when you already have the Orchid?
True. Just always feels weird that you've got 10k net worth 38 minutes in and you've got one item finished, so. And also, like, 4 staffs are kind of a necessity in this game, which surprisingly enough, M11 don't even have against a Viper, Pugna. Like, 4 staffs are super good against this Rhea lineup.
For sure, though, then again, when you have this Terrorblade, you would use those 4 staffs to force him in to the fight just because of how strong he is. I think that M11, they never felt like they were pressured in this game. If they did, they probably would have gone for the 4 staffs, but I think with your Mars, he wants to use the arena, and if he dies, it's fine. The Dazzle needs to be behind the Terrorblade, so it's actually the Terrorblade that's going to be pushing the rest. Zeus has his own 4 staff that is actually OP, and, you know, the Monkey King, he is in the tree. So I guess it is the... they're thinking they're not gonna be needing them, especially if the Terrorblade has a good game, and he has been having a good game ever since the start.
Yeah, though, you know, an extra 4 staff's always nice against the Dusk. Even though you have like the Goomba Stomp Mario Leap from the Zeus, it still is one of those situations where you get rooted.
You can mess up.
You get rooted by the Ember, and you're gonna like pop up and back down, and you're standing there like, oh yeah, I made a drastic mistake. Just like Dazzle there, 100 seconds no Dazzle. That is actually pretty big, but the problem is they do have an Ember, so they are pretty decent against Megas, but it's just the biggest problem. If he's hasted up, he's looking for a Roche if it respawns, and if you walk out of your base, you're gonna have to deal with the illusions from the TB that are gonna push back into your base. It's just hell. And then mid. Okay, quick jump back. Oh,
they got him.
The prediction coming out. Refresh as well. Another spear comes through. Zeus ulti. They take him down, and that is a super good and solid prediction coming out from the Mars. That was just on point.
Yeah, very nice. It's always nice to see some of those cute little plays. It doesn't transition into much in terms of changing the pace of the game, because M11 are probably gonna win anyways. But it's always nice to see something like that. But you know, Truman, now I understand that you as a support player, you've probably had that one friend, that carry player who always goes too deep and then he's pinging everyone. Why didn't you buy a 4-staff? If you had 3 4-staffs there, I would have survived. Yeah, I had one of those as well, though. You started loving the 4-staff just to make those people shut up, and I started hating the item and just refusing to go for it.
Oh no, I never buy it. I play Wyvern. I fly out of everything. I don't need it. But, you know, Dazzle might need it. I stopped playing Dazzle.
I though, you know, if this was the old Dazzle with the cooldown reduction on the items as well, maybe he would have gotten it, you know, just so that he can use it more often.
Midas Dagon, and he'd be the best. I miss the old Dazzle, even though Ags kind of like still gives you the same, but the old Dazzle was just so nice with the Guardian Greaves and whatnot. The amount of healing that you can spam, and late game if you got an Arcane Rune, you just had everything up permanently. Beautiful.
I feel so nostalgic as well.
Going in. Terrorblade does not really care that much. He actually does have the Aegis. They will be chilling for a little bit. The arena comes out. Control comes on to that Bristle. He's trying to run away. He does get himself out of dodge, but he needs to be very careful and regen up quickly. They're continuing the fight without him, though, and that is problematic. He is still going to get taken down by the Zeus regardless. No buyback available for the Bristle, and the rest of the lineup is in trouble. Buyback did come out from the Ember. He's going to go for the jump on the back line. Terror Wave comes from the TB, but the TB, he needs to find... Yeah, he needs a Sunder target, and a good one at that. The Ember's jumping all over the place. He's just trying to create space and time, but the tier 4s are falling to the Megas, and they really cannot defend for the time being without that Bristleback. It seems Warlord's Punch comes out. The Aegis might just get popped. He's still not dead, and he will even be saved with the Shallow Grave. Sunder is still available. Finally uses it, and will be back to healing ways, looking for the finisher in this game. The only one left is going to be that Viper, and that is going to be game, set, match. M11 take game number 1 after a figuring, absolutely massive team fight towards the tier 3 tower in the bottom lane. Like that one fight where they were missing, I think, the Ember previously, that kind of slowed everything down, and then eventually the TB just got too strong.
Yeah, that was the timing for them. I don't think necessarily they would have won the game there, but it would have given them a good chance. They had the Roche, they got the buybacks out. You know, the enemies didn't have the meta, even if the Terrorblade does buyback, so there's nothing that he can do. To be honest, if there was ever a time for them to win that game, it was right there and then. And what happened? It was just a little bit of hesitation. It tends to happen sometimes. You think, if I buy back now and we die, we're gonna lose the game. Yeah, but if you don't buy back now and try, you're gonna lose the game anyways, and this way you're at least gonna have some kind of a shot.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was one of those scenarios where they had a very solid chance, but unfortunately a couple of fights that went slightly wrong. Maybe if he popped back on the Ember, as you mentioned, that there could have been a slight change in pace, but you know, it's a TB, and TB is just really strong. If you take the game late against the TB, there are not many heroes that can actually stand that engagement and win it out. And also, like, really good performance coming out from that Mars. It started off a little bit rocky, but afterwards he had some very good catches with the spear. Surprisingly enough, the damage from the Zeus was just immense every single time, and also being able to survive those later fights, which was a big plus. The Dazzle keeping him alive most of those engagements, because he didn't really need to focus on healing the TB. He was tanky enough, but the Zeus was the one that they constantly kept going for, and once you keep him alive somehow, most of the spells on the side of the Rhea lineup were pretty much gone.
Yeah, I like the Mars performance as well in this game. I mean, he got shut down in the lane, but, you know, laning phase isn't everything. And, you know, bad players, they tend to crumble under pressure when they're not having a good game. But not this guy. He got his blink, and he still made plays. He found a way to be useful to his team, and he was more than useful. And also, we saw some cute plays as well, which, as we mentioned, the grand scheme of things didn't matter. But they showed that he was constantly focused in the game, and he knew exactly what his job was. Just play around the Terrorblade and make sure that he's dealing all the damage possible.
Yep. It was a pretty good game one, and I'm pretty impressed with Ria's performance, even though they do have a couple of players that are having some ping issues. Playing from a different continent does that with you. Same thing for the M11, even though TB dying a couple of times in the early stages was a bit problematic, especially when he popped his meta TP towards the bottom tier 1 when his team was already dead. That was something that definitely should have been avoided, but did of course afterwards recover and not join any engagements until he got his Scotty, and that's when the game was pretty much completely in the pocket for M11. You can see here the damage, of course, unsurprisingly Zeus top damage of the game, that I never would have seen coming.
Yeah, I have no idea how he did that. That hero just doesn't do that much damage. Though, look at Terrorblaze damage. I think that's gonna be very interesting to the chat. You know, it is quite fun to see. But you know, question for you, DkTruman: which hero can actually do similar, even more damage than the Zeus in a game?
Similar or even more damage than the Zeus in a game? Tinker.
No.
I would assume Tinker. That's probably
Tinker is close, but usually when there's a Tinker on one side and Zeus on the other, it generally doesn't go well now with the with this new spell. You know, with the shield, you tend to be okay. But Venomancer is the correct answer. The ulti of the Venom is just
I was also thinking maybe
dumb.
Spectre Radiance. That was also a thing. But that is a discussion for another day, because we also don't get to see any Tinkers anymore these days, unfortunately. Too many catch heroes, Marcy for instance, the most profound one out there. Indeed, a sad tear for all the Tinker players out there. But we'll be going towards a short break before game number 2 starts, so hopefully you enjoyed the show. We'll be right back.
There was a thing in the woods. But once a year, it left the woods to feast on us. Then one year, out of the woods came nothing. Another year passed, and another. Over time, we forgot our fear. And turned our backs on the dark. Slivers of the mad moon hang forgotten in our sky, slowly aligning. It is time again. The tide rises and brings with it something dire.
Don't let this party scene fool you. This world is a dangerous place. When you get to be my age, you'll see friends come and go. It's important to take care of the ones still kicking. In the heat of battle, you'd be surprised how far a little kindness might go. But not everyone deserves kindness.
Hello, Auntie.
This all you brought?
Yes.
Oh. Attaboy! I didn't offer to share.
Goodies!
Welcome back, ladies and gents. Game number 2 will be starting soon, but Harry Freak, what a treat game number 1 was.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was all over the place. This is something that we expect from tier 2, tier 3 teams to... we've kind of gotten used to the DPC and all of the teams getting better and better, you know, in multiple regions. So then it is quite a treat to see when teams are still solid at Dota, but they tend to make some uncharacteristic mistakes, which make the game a bit more interesting and not really easily predictable of how the things will be going, you know. So usually we think, oh, they're gonna leave that tower, but they're like, no, we're gonna fight it. Yeah, sure, it does go badly, but in in return, it does create interesting scenarios around the game. In the end, M11, they are gonna be getting the victory, but I don't think Ria are that far away in terms of skill and map understanding. It wouldn't surprise me if they can get one back here.
Yeah, Ria looked pretty
Radiant
good as well in their
team
approach. Just a couple of small mistakes where they weren't grouped up together, and the like was a bit too problematic. And also, TB is just a stupidly strong hero in the late game. But this time around, we're gonna get to see the Viper being banned. They're countering out the ping on the opponent's side on Ramsey Sakai Adventure. Of course, playing from
10
different
seconds
continents, a couple
remaining.
of their players. So no Viper this time around. That means the offlaner probably is
5
going to be forced to
seconds
play DK or Venomancer, the highest damage dealing hero.
Radiant team banned.
DK has to blink and stun, you know, so that is.
You just buy a
I guess-
DKB and forget about that. You get a position 4 that does that. Get the Tusk or something.
True. That is smart. They ban out the Tiny. I guess in terms of ping, you could say a Tiny can just click on the ground, and it's
Dire
such a
team
big
pick.
AoE that whenever it comes out, it's still gonna be a
Radiant
useful stun.
team pick.
Maybe that's the reasoning behind it. And M11, they get a
Radiant
Dawnbreaker, a
team
hero.
pick.
You know, I
Dire
said
team
Ria are gonna have a chance to win, but to be honest, whenever I see this Dawnbreaker, I feel so sorry for the opposing team.
Yeah, Dawn is really strong. Every 5 positions can be played. But they pick up the Marcy Weaver, which is also an interesting approach, because that could be could literally be your
seconds
safe
remaining.
lane duo or your off lane duo immediately secured, or it
5
could be both
seconds
supports.
remaining.
So there's also flexibility in that regard. It is a hero that can like dodge and get out of range of the Dawnbreaker pretty quickly, which might be a nice addition, because a lot of heroes, like, you don't want to be underneath that
Dire
hammer
team back.
once she comes slamming down and absolutely evaporates you.
Radiant team banned.
Yeah, usually you would see, you know, a girl, she sees a bug, she starts screaming. Not this one. This one has a big ass hammer and is ready to squash a bug. So I would be afraid if I was the Weaver. To be honest though, if I'm an offlane Dawnbreaker, I'm afraid of
10
the Marcy
seconds
Weaver.
remaining.
You know, both of these heroes have really good ways to get away, and Marcy has a really
5
good way to
seconds
stop
remaining.
your Starbreaker. So plus the Weaver does immense amounts of damage to you just because of the swarm. So I'm liking
team
this
back.
from Ria. I think if I'm M11, I want to lane the Dawnbreaker away from these two.
Yeah, though then the question comes, how are you going to handle it? Well, also what position is the Alchemist going to be playing in this scenario?
10 seconds.
Are we going to
remaining.
ban the Timber Saw, which I think the answer should be yes.
5
100%
seconds
if you're going to be playing an Alchemist, it's always maybe not the biggest problem.
Radiant
'cause
team banned.
Timbersaw with
Dire
bad
team
ping is going to
back.
be really rough to play. Yeah, they still ban out the Timbersaw, but I was thinking, you know, with bad ping, he's never going to be able to hit a tree.
Yeah, there's just not that many trees in Dota, so obviously you're gonna be in trouble if you
Now,
don't
they're all
click
going to be
properly.
cut. They're all going to be
10
cut, and then you
seconds
try to tether to the tree, and then, oh, there are no trees anymore. What happened?
5 seconds remaining.
Maybe there's a hidden mechanic in Dota if, well, when you're a Timber Saw, you if all of the trees get cut down on the map, you just instantly win the game because you've finished your main objective, you know, destroy all the trees in the world. So that could be okay. Either way, I'm
Is that even
really curious to see
possible?
destroy all the trees
On the map?
before they come back.
They have a 3-minute respawn time.
You have a Timber Saw, you have a Bat Rider. Those two come to mind as the best tree clearers. I don't know what
Coddles
other
with
three
a
I would
wisp,
bring in.
I guess. Mars
It's a big
Arena.
cooldown. Still
Yeah,
a big cooldown.
Yeah, but the Coddle, if you've got like
Radiant
Octarine,
team
it's
back.
the cooldown is like 25 seconds or so on Will-O-Wisp if you keep spamming yourself with the cooldown reduction. So it can clear up a lot, but yeah,
I'm gonna say it's not possible. I'm gonna say it's not possible, though. Who knows? I think
maybe if you've got
it's-
10 people all
10
trying
seconds
together
remaining.
with the power of friendship to clean it up.
friendship
5
is the most
seconds
important thing in the world. So I guess that at least there we we can get together on that. If they have the power of friendship, they can definitely do anything. Though what's gonna be the ban here from Rhea? I think with the bans that they're gunning for, that this is most likely gonna be a carry weaver. I've seen a lot of carry weaver in the Eastern European division because Shigetsu from Cybercats, he plays it every single time. Sometimes people even ban it in the first phase for him. He one time he even picked it into a Faceless Void and still crushed the game. So some people are just the experts on this hero. Other ones, like the ones on Rhea, they're scared of a small Bloodseeker and the Faceless Void.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times as a safe laner in SA. It does get picked up in SA a lot as a position 3, so an offlane weaver. I think Sacred from Thunder Awaken runs offlane weaver a bunch, and then they run it together with the Tusk, because that is one absolutely ridiculous lane to try and beat. So yeah, the hero also has its flexibility. I have no idea where Remzi's Sky Adventure is going to head with their draft. Team M11 is probably going to use this as an Alchemist core. I would assume just straight up a safe lane for the time being, considering the bans already coming into play. But there's definitely a flex possibility to be used in the remainder of this series.
Yeah, both of the teams are quite flexible. You know, Marcy 4 and 5. We have seen some core Marcys, though I'm not the biggest fan of it. What I would like to see in competitive Dota in terms of a core Marcy is a Marcy Wisp lane. I have encountered it in pubs multiple times, and it is just stupid. The Marcy jumps off a Wisp, and suddenly they have a billion movement speed. Then they use the overcharge in the sidekick, and then they have a billion attack speed and a billion damage. And then it becomes really hard to play against that one. And Rhea, they get an Undying, which I would prefer the Marcy to be laning with the Weaver rather than the Undying. Undying is annoying, but he doesn't just provide the same amount of kill potential as the Marcy does.
10 seconds
Yeah, he's
remaining.
just a lane dominating kind of hero, steals strength away from the opponents.
5 seconds remaining.
You do need to get heroes to deal with the tome and the totem. Alchemist is pretty good at it, though. He can clean it up pretty quickly. And the big plus for Alchemist is, of course, if you kill a zombie, you get gold. So you can literally just stand next to the tombstone and just constantly keep eating up all that money while those zombies respawn, which I do tend to see some Alchemists actually do.
Yeah, I've seen it so many times, and I've seen it backfire so many times. That greed comes to bite, like, haha, I'm getting free farm, haha. You get so pulled into it, and suddenly you die. I've seen it even from tier 1 teams sometimes get a bit ahead of themselves, and just for extra 200 gold, they lose their main hero. So hopefully he's not gonna be too greedy, but you know, if it is a solo tombstone there, obviously you are, and everyone else dead, obviously you're just gonna leave it there and farm as much as you want.
Yeah, my favorite one will forever be, there was a Dark Seer game, and he had the wall placed, and Alchemist was very low in HP, and he stood in the wall, and then every illusion that spawned just died. So he constantly kept on killing off the illusions, getting all that extra gold, and he actually got like, I think 1,200 gold out of it in the end from just standing in the wall.
Rubik comes out. Usually I'm not the biggest fan of Rubik in the current meta, but when I see a Weaver, I definitely am. Being able to steal the Shikuchi actually makes you a very annoying hero to deal with. To be honest with this Morphling pick, I am starting to think that this is an offlane Alchemist, that the M11 are going to be gunning for a mid lane hero to give the axe to. It's probably, in my mind, going to be Dawnbreaker 5, Morphling 1, Rubik 4, remaining. Alchemist 3, and you're only missing a mid laner right now, which Radiant Ember would be an amazing one, but it's probably gonna get banned out.
Yeah, I would assume that they're gonna take care of that Ember quickly, because Void Spirit doesn't really have that many heroes that are very hard to deal with, and that also have amazing Aghanim Scepters to play with. They could technically also just put the Alchemist mid, and Alch should be able to survive. It wouldn't surprise me too much if Alch just plays in the mid lane.
But the Alchemist Morphling does sound a bit too greedy to me.
Oh yeah, no, it's a lot of greed, but you know, greed sometimes is good.
10 seconds remaining.
Greed is good, especially if you're typing it into the
5 seconds
into the Warcraft,
remaining.
you know, when playing and just getting all the money that you want. But M11, they ban out the Anti-Mage. I like that one. Heroes that build into a Skadi are the ones that maybe you
Radiant
want to be
team back.
afraid of here. A Monkey King is the other one that the Morphling actually doesn't like playing into. Though I still think that this Weaver is gonna be a core. I think with the bans that Rhea pretty much told us what they were gonna do with it. If it's a support Weaver,
10
then
seconds
it is
remaining.
actually, as you mentioned, it could be an offlane Weaver, or Weaver Marcy,
5
and
seconds
Rhea
remaining.
just get their position one last.
Yeah. Weaver, I think Weaver's safe lane is actually just really good. It's also a Scotty builder, can buy pretty quickly because you don't necessarily have to buy
Dire
the boots.
team pick.
Some of them do, some of them don't. But I wouldn't mind a Weaver here. It's
Radiant
also really
team
hard to
pick.
catch a Weaver for the most
Storm
part. They're
Spirit.
actually going Storm Spirit. Okay, so that is another spirit that can try and fight up against the Void. Laning state, the hero has fallen off significantly after the Null Talisman's nerf, but I do know that, for instance, Boom from Gaming Gladiators kind of still
10
loves picking it
seconds
at
remaining.
almost every single game. And a free Ags on a Storm when you've got an Alchemist on your
seconds
side
remaining.
is actually very scary.
Yeah, I like the Orchid this game as well, so you know the nerfs to the Null Talismans might not affect you that much. Though I've started seeing the Witchblade on the Storm Spirit as well. I'm seeing Witchblade on everyone. I think if there's a balance patch, the Witchblade will probably get targeted just a little bit, just because everyone is building it right now. Every single mid hero just buys a Witchblade and does so much damage.
Yeah, I think Witchblade is just the go-to tool. Some of them still tend to go for like the Kaya Sange build, but that one, yeah, I think Witchblade is definitely the go-to. The damage output is insane.
Choose your hero.
That is actually a hero that they tried to ban out last game themselves, but they're going for the Naga here. Okay, that one I did not. Naga against Elk?
It's an offlane Alk though.
Yeah, I know. That's why Alchemist is laning
Yeah.
against Naga, and he's just gonna acid spray and like bully him out.
You have a lot of armor though, you know, that's one thing to think about. But as you
The
mentioned,
illusions
you
are
know,
easy money.
yeah, they are. As you mentioned, Ace plays the Alchemist with Radiance. 33 also plays an Alchemist with the Radiance. If there is a game to get an offlane Alchemist an early Radiance, I think this is the one. If I was this Alchemist, I wouldn't be thinking about giving the axe to my
5
Storm. I
seconds
just
remaining.
want to be super strong, because the side of Rhea, they don't touch him. A Radiance Blink BKB Alchemist just wins this game. It is gonna be greedy, but you have a Storm Spirit to just go ham and be aggressive. If he falls off, it's not gonna be that much of an issue, because you have two other heroes that are gonna be quite strong.
The draft is, in my opinion, pretty favored towards the team M11 side. I really like their lineup. I also think that they have a very scary lineup for the later portions of the game if you get a free Ags on the Storm. I also do agree with you. I think the Radiance might just be the better choice this game. Maybe get the Radiance, and then with that Radiance, try and farm the Ags for the Storm, something along those lines. Could be a possibility, but yeah, the Naga just feels a little bit off for me, especially because Storm is also like pretty good against Naga. Maybe if Naga gets the Ags, it could be still very scary, but a Storm with level 25 and the Aghanim Scepter and the Shard, and he's just gonna splatter all those illusions over the windshield.
If Naga buys a Diffusal this game, the game is over. He has lost. I've seen so many Nagas buy a Diffusal, even now since it's so cheap, and you just don't do anything because your illusions are food. I think you have a few approaches here. Either go for that kill build with an Orchid into a Ags, which I would like less, but I would like Manta into Skadi. If he gets that at around the 20-minute mark, he actually does have what it takes to just crush M11 with all of the power behind him. Considering you have the Undying, he should have a pretty okay lane. So I'm thinking you go that route. But if he buys a Diffusal, the game is just done. I don't see him doing anything. His illusions are gonna be food, and the Diffusal just isn't that great of a farming item either.
I haven't seen the Diffusal Blade on Naga in a long time. Most of the time, it's just that Manta Skadi that you said. I've seen, that was still like 3 months ago. I've seen some of the, you know, the Orchid Ags builds that you were talking about. I wouldn't mind it too much considering the heroes you're up against. If you silence the
30 seconds to
Alchemist, he
battle.
stuns himself. If you silence the Storm, he's dead. If you silence the Morph, well, you could possibly get a good catch there. But it also does hamper, like, it hampers a lot of farming potential if you don't get the Manta. And I think the Manta is definitely just gonna be the go-to tool. But the problem is, can you get to that point for that you mentioned? 20 minutes Manta plus the Scotty with their lineup to try and make space. I guess the Void Spirit's pretty okay for it, but their lineup also feels so incredibly weak.
Yeah, it definitely does. The Weaver would need to pop off because the Void Spirit, he needs a bit more time to start dishing out the damage. You need more points in Dissimulate, more points in Resonant Pulse. Your laning phase against the Storm isn't ideal. Storm deals really well with the melee heroes. Obviously, Void Spirit is one of the best laners in the game. He can pretty much lane against anything, but Storm is still gonna be somewhat annoying to you and should get a bit more farm.
Storm is also really good at farming up the small camps, and normally you tend to counter ward the small camps for Storm, because he's going to be able to clean those up very quickly. Compared to most mid laners, he's actually like really good at it to a, you know, level of Coddle, for instance. Okay, a lot of damage on Ifrit, but he of course can just swap towards Strength there, going in for more damage to be dealt. However, they're going to take a lot of damage in return. You are laning up against one of the strongest heroes in this current patch. Well, to be fair, the two strongest heroes in this current patch are laning against each other. So Morphling definitely has to be careful of a leap forward once Marcy gets it, but he does not have rebound. He went for the Dispose at level 1 first.
Yeah, understandably so. You know, the Weaver does already have a billion movement speed. You're not gonna help him at all with the rebound itself. So I guess that is fine. He saw an opportunity. He pulled the Morphling back, almost gets the kill. In the end, not gonna be enough. But the Weaver, and this Dawnbreaker is just, it's just stupid sometimes. You know, when I'm playing against this hero, I don't know how I restrain myself from breaking my keyboard. It just feels so annoying at times.
The damage output is a little bit insane, and the shard is also really stupidly strong. Like, if it gives you that you can move your hammer attack thing, or if you get the BKB, I'm okay with it. But getting both feels a little bit too much. It's one or the other, not both. I think that is a little bit too busted on the hero.
We'll see what happens, but you know, even against the busted hero, they do manage to get the kill. We mentioned level 2, and it did come out with Jet being able to get on top of the Morphling, pull him back. It is gonna be quite a nice one. I think M11 they missed their timing when they hit level 2, and Rhea were level 1. They didn't get a kill. They didn't push in the creeps into the tower, and now this is gonna be the punish coming out from the side of Rhea.
Rhea is the Morphling is a hero that really needs to get level 3 at the very least to be able to sustain in a lane, because level 1 attribute shift is just so incredibly weak and slow. But luckily enough, the mana is low on that Marcy, so the lane should be a lot easier to handle in that regard. Because that's the big problem. If Marcy has mana, she'll be constantly jumping on you. You need to be able to swap on a dime with the damage, because it's also a lot of damage and a nasty slow on top that it deals to you. This Morphling is having a little bit of a struggle, but Naga's not having the best lane either, whereas Alchemist, he's just enjoying life against the Illusion army. Seems the lanes are going pretty A-okay. There's a nice stun coming in onto Jed, but Ifrit, his armor's getting reduced. He's swapping towards Strength, trying to stay alive. Jed going for the fight. Man fight, who's going to win it out? It is going to be Zore on that Weaver, and finds himself a double kill in the process. That top lane is looking good for Rhea.
This is the first thing that Rhea need to do towards their path to victory. Have a good game on the Weaver, because Weaver is going to be a really big damage dealer that you're going to be missing, given that the Naga Siren can't really join the fights early on. She's going to be fighting, so this is a really good thing. Sure, Naga isn't having the best lane in the world, but she's not struggling, and considering the farming potential of the hero, he's still going to be getting quite a lot later on once the laning phase is done.
They're definitely Looking to go for a catch here onto Zagi in the bottom lane. Has unset Concoction, trying to stay alive for a little bit longer. Gets himself underneath the tower and will be getting himself home scot-free. Though he does have a lot of last hits, which is pretty good for an alchemist. I think he even healed himself up, so he can be just fine. Towards mid, TP through, refresh the bottle on Rams. Actually lift up, drag back onto Nyx. Can they get the control? He is on the side, but yeah, he's a little bit too fast to catch up to for that storm without his level 6. So once level 6 comes into play for both these mid laners, a lot of kill threats coming through, and possibly side lane rotations as well if you're going to get that deep on Jet.
I think Storm is the one more likely to rotate earlier. The Void Spirit just lacks a little bit in damage, so you want to get a bit more in levels. But the Storm, as soon as he sees someone overextending a little bit or finds the right rune, he's gonna be going for it. I think the first and the second rune are the one where the Storm wants to rotate, and the second and the third are probably the ones that the Void Spirit really wants to get his hands on, because that is his timing to be aggressive.
This top lane might need a little bit of help, though. Still not that far behind. Honestly, the lanes are pretty stable on both these teams. And the one a bit struggling currently is Dawnbreaker, but you know, that's a struggling hero right there. Did you see that? That damage? That's a struggling hero in terms of net worth. Just chunking him down, forcing back the Marcy as well. It's just busted. Hopefully, you know, we get to see some changes before the before TI.
800 net worth equals 800 damage, so that is the from 2 spells. That is really fair, and the Storm does find the regen rune. Okay, so now the rotations from M11 are gonna be even easier. I think Zori needs to be very careful right now with the rotation of the Storm. If the Weaver dies, all of that lead that he got early on is gonna be taken away. And to be honest, even with all of those kills, you know, the Morphling is still I'd say ways ahead of the Weaver.
He is very solidly performing on that morph, and that's kind of, you reach to, you know, level 3, level 5, attribute shift becomes insanely good, and then you're just fine. But it does come down to when that Spirit Vessel will be done. I assume that the Weaver's actually going for the Spirit Vessel. I hope he's going for it, because they need all the healing reduction they can get against a Morphling, Dawnbreaker, and the Alchemist. Obviously, it's just too much healing coming out from the dire side otherwise.
Yeah, I love that build on the Weaver as well, low mid lane. He still has a regen rune. Nyx needs to be careful.
Rams can just regen up and go back in if it's needed. Actually, Undying is walking into the area. Say hi for a bit, but Nyx has still a bit of disengage and has some nice tiers available for the reduction coming through. There's the disengage further forward. Alchemist trying to farm up in the meantime. So the Undying is going to say hi for just a half second, and it is going to be Jet taken down by Rams' rotation towards the top. Still has the regen rune, even ticking further forward, is back to full, can go back to mid.
This is a big deal. He got one of the supports down, so you're gonna be seeing the fight for the second rune. I think the second rune is gonna be very important, because the Storm with it, he's gonna go ham, and the Void Spirit actually puts him in a position where he can't go further. So now it's gonna come down to luck, and the one that is gonna be more lucky is gonna be the Storm Spirit. Now this opens up so much for him in terms of rotating.
Tombstone did get dropped down. Alchemist is nearby, but he's actually just going to farm the neutral creeps, it seems. And they want to contest this. They're walking up. Nyx is nearby. They're going up the high ground, but it's an arcane rune for the Storm. He's actually going to try and defend the neutrals from being taken by Nyx in the process. However, he's going to get stunned by the Aether. The heal comes out, though, and that's a big blast and bomb of death and fire. Level 6 already achieved on the position 5. That is that's pretty much just because they started fighting so much in that top lane.
Yeah, usually when there's a lot of death on the side lanes, the supports tend to be higher levels. And looking at the supports here between the two teams, to be honest, I'd rather have higher levels inside of M11. The Undying and the Marcy, their level 6s aren't really that great. The Storm, he has found Rem. If this Naga goes down, it's gonna be a disaster.
Won't have enough damage just yet to take him down for the count, but yeah, the 3k net worth lead for M11. That Alchemist is now top net worth after taking those stacks right next to his opponents as well. That must really sting on the side of Rhea. And this Void Spirit, he is going for the item we expected, the Witchblade, obviously, but I'm really curious to see what Alchemist is going to be building up in his approach further. I do hope that it's going to be the Radiance that is going to be his choice, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's going to go for the Ags.
Yeah, I'd be okay with both, to be honest. I'd rather see the Radiance. I think it is a game-winning play, whereas the Ags is, oh, we want to practice this cool jab that we have. Considering that this is still a competitive match, I don't think M11 should be taking any chances. Alchemist with this kind of a start can definitely overtake the game, and Rhea, their ability to invade and be annoying to the Alchemist is very limited, and that usually comes down to the you don't have a safe laner that can stay in the safe lane for a very long time. If you don't have that, then the ability to invade the jungle is just not there, because enemies are always gonna know where you are.
They are a pretty scary bunch, especially once that Dawnbreaker comes popping up. But yeah, I still can't believe that he had the this ulti already at 8 minutes on the Dawnbreaker. That is just so painful, because it's also it's just like a Spectre. Mask of Madness on the Morphling. I did mention it, of course, in the previous game. It is a pretty good item on the Morph, also very scary, because right now, you know, you silence yourself with 500 HP. Anyone, like, jumps you, you'd be dead. But the thing is, you can split it up to get yourselves the Satanic later and the Butterfly, which I assume are going to be the two items of choice, especially for Morphling this game. Against a Naga, you definitely want a Butterfly.
Yeah, he'll get it at some point for sure, if it does come to that point, though. Given that this Alchemist is having such a free game, the production doesn't want to show it to us because they want to keep us guessing. But I'm gonna guess he buys a Radiance here, and Rhea, they just start crying because it's not gonna be easy playing against that one.
No, it's definitely a struggle bus. We'll eventually manage to see him pop up there. Ifrit farming up the Ancient stack. He's going for the looks to be just the Manta style. It's a pretty yeah, it's a good Manta style game. You need to get that a way to get rid of the root from the Naga Siren as well. But currently they're just busy farming up. Nick spots out Ifrit, and they'll just get forced back down towards the top lane. They do have a solo Dawn trying to defend the tier 1 tower as well. But that's
it is not an easy kill, though. I'm liking that the Naga Siren is there. It is a good hero to focus down the Dawnbreaker, and now they're gonna make the move. They really need to. You can't allow them to do that.
He's dropping low. He gets rid of the bug, but is gonna get taken down, and that is gonna be the tier 1 tower towards top. That is gonna be tried to be secured. So Storm is nearby, and Alchemist is in the vicinity, so you got to be careful, because of course Unstable Concoction is a pretty nice tool. AoE stun onto Naga Illusions always sounds perfect.
So the Weaver is going for an Orchid. I think that's a desperation play right now. I'm liking Rhea what they did. So in my mind, when you play against this kind of a greedy lineup, you shouldn't get too ahead of yourself, like we have to do something, you have to go slowly and take things that you can at that point. If you're going that way, the greed from M11, you will find an opening to actually punish it, because not all of their heroes are going to be strong. On the other hand, what M11 are trying to do is defend this tower, because they know even if they throw out support lives on the top lane, at some point you're going to get a good fight going your way. But other than that, as long as that tower is up, your big jungle is protected. So for now, M11 are gonna be happy, but Rhea, I like their approach. They're poking on the top lane while the Void Spirit is kind of trying to invade, just making his presence known and hoping that some of the TPs go his way.
There's that Shikuchi steal that you were talking about. Hated does manage to secure it. It's going to be very mobile in all these engagements. Aether Lens is also pretty much done on the Rubik. Just needs a tiny bit more gold. And towards mid, Storm tries to get a catch. Nyx, nice Aether Remnant, and that should keep him alive against Ramsey's chase.
Right now, Rhea really need to put a lot of focus on the top tower. You cannot allow this to continue going on. Yes, you are farming yourselves, but the first ones to hit the timing are gonna be M11. That top tower needs to fall. You can see now with Rubik having the Shikuchi, I know it's tough, but you need to bring in that Naga Siren. You need to find a good rune for the Void Spirit. It is a necessity if you want to even get a chance to play this game, because 20 minutes in, M11 are gonna be ready.
Usagi, Chemical Rage, has the destruction as well, throws it on towards those Naga Illusions, gets all the extra money from all those Naga Illusions. Shikuchi away, Storm joins the fray. Did you... I think they... I think we pressed the Alchemist, but I didn't check his items.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, they're trying to keep us on our toes, but
On another cliffhanger, yeah. We know how that went the previous time.
last time, huh? I think it went the same way this time around. What is the alchemy? But only for us. I'm guessing the viewers did spot it, though. Only us here are actually dropping the ball. Either way, with all of this, all of these heroes in the top lane, the bottom lane tower will fall. Do they have enough to actually finish him off?
He did swap into strength just in time, and he's going to be just fine. Nice heal bomb as well. Marcy in trouble. It's a lot of damage. Ifrit waveform forward, and that is going to be another catch, but the damage is just not there. He's swapping in back and forth, and oh my lord, a Void v Void matchup coming into play. Waveform forward, trying to go for Nyx. The damage is finally there. Zip comes out, and oh my lord, Ifrit, like he should have been dead like 3 times right there. He should have been dead, but he manages to survive somehow magically.
That was a really good reaction for him when the Ether Remnant came out. That was a really cool play coming out from the Void Spirit. If the Ether Remnant had connected before the shift, it actually would have resulted in a kill. So nice attempt there coming out from Rhea, but in the grand scheme of things, they still lose their tower. They're not gonna take the tower of the enemies, and the Alchemist, the offlane Alchemist, is getting out of control, and there it is. We finally see it once the Radiance comes out. We are gonna know that Usagi, he's gonna be carrying this game, and I just don't see a hero on the side of Rhea that is going to be able to do anything. This Naga Siren will not be a hero, and the Weaver had a good start, but when we look at him now, he's not really in a situation where he can bring heroes down.
It's kind of a weird drafting situation as well, because they picked up the Alchemist pretty early on, and in the end, they kind of did not pick a single counter for the Alchemist this game. Because they picked a Morphling, he's going to be an offlane anyway, so we don't have to focus it. Well, that's where you're kind of wrong, because Alchemist can be anything he wants to be, and he is also 8k ahead with the rest of his team. Looking pretty good. Nyx is just burning away in the meantime while walking next to the Alch. That's always a nice addition, but they're looking to try and get a catch. He is invis-ruined up. Are there any sentries lying about? It does not seem to be the case, but they don't want to go that deep. They actually want to get that tier 1 tower towards top. While in the meantime, Ifrit's just split pushing the bottom tier 2.
Bottom tower is under attack.
This is... even if they get it now, it's way too late. I would like to think they have a chance, but look at what the Rubik is doing to them. He is just playing with them. At least they'll... No, they won't even get him, and now they're gonna get punished.
Yeah, here comes the Dawnbreaker, stunned from behind as well. They're coming from multiple directions. Radiance Burn is always nice. Alchemist to be farming up all these zombies. Actually, he's going to quickly get rid of the Tombstone. A little bit disappointing. I was hoping to kill all the zombies that spawned everywhere. But they will still find themselves at another superb kill added in. At least the tier 1 tower does tend to die finally. And Rhea do have their first tower secured. But in the meantime, while all of that shenanigans happening top, Morphling is free farming bottom. And he is actually getting pretty farmed on the Morph.
Yeah, that is a good way to put it. The Morph and the Alchemist are out of control. The Storm, he's close as well with the Orchid. He's actually a threat to every single hero on the map. We can see the Void Spirit is even changing up his build. He wants a Yule Scepter because he just understands in how much of a danger he is. Now, M11 going into the triangle. I don't think they have to be doing this, but they just want to assert dominance. If they get a kill on the Naga right now, it's gonna make Rhea's game almost impossible. And they see him.
Yeah, oh, do they see him? I guess he must have been, yeah, he was just out of vision range. That must have been as close as can be. He must have really been dangling the edge right there. But luckily enough, does not fall right off and will be able to stay alive for a bit longer towards mid. They're trying to get a catch here. Might be able to kill off the Dawnbreaker, but again, it's a 5-position Dawnbreaker that you'd kill. Yes, it would be great to get a kill regardless, but they're going a little bit too deep, and now Jed is in trouble. Alchemist TPing as well. Onto the creeps they go, zip forward. Jed will be caught, the stun will be thrown further forward, and the kill has been secured. Looking very good here for M11 to make this a 2-0 victory. And they're even continuing for more. Void is a little bit elusive, but not elusive enough, because the storm is still there with the stun available. There's the heal bomb coming in. The Naga does do a decent amount of damage though. Waveform forward, but the Song of the Siren will be able to keep the Naga going.
That beautiful voice will be stopping them in their tracks. You just can't attack someone who sings so beautifully. But either way, M11, they get a tower. It's pretty much at the time where the Alchemist will have his blink. You know, you want to be jumping in. The Storm has the Orchid, so in terms of hunting, M11 are ready. Not a lot of things to remove the silences on the side of Rhea. So at least Marcy, the Undying, and the Weaver are going to be in so much trouble. And with this Aegis, the greed that M11 have gone for has paid off completely, and now they can pretty much do whatever they want.
11k net with advantage is not too shabby. Alchemist, all he sees is a couple of nice illusions that he can farm. Easy extra money, thank you very much. They are rotating heavily to kill him in the bottom lane, and he needs to be careful. Silent.
I think we lost DkTruman there for a second, but it doesn't matter, because you have me, guys, and the Storm will be jumping in. He's looking towards the Undying. He's going to be pulling him in, and the Undying is dead. Truman, are you back?
I am back. I don't know what happened, but my entire PC froze for a very brief amount of time. That was
I got you.
I come back and 3 people died. Okay, I guess I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not like you are gonna miss the outcome of this game. I think you have already seen it, given your amazing predictive powers of the day. But M11 are just continuing to crush with the Aegis on the Storm. The poor Weaver will die now as well.
Yeah. I mean, at least, you know, first series, that was just because I was tired. Second series, a little bit more awake. Easy pickings. But yeah, the draft from Rhea game 2 especially is kind of all over the place. And to be fair, Ifrit's playing a really good board the entire time, swapping in time as well, still playing with them as commands. Next needs to be careful. Will be able to get himself back towards base. Actually, Rubik chasing deep. That is so ballsy. Disrespect move as well. Oh, a heal bomb coming up on top. Can he get the song going? No, he's gonna get stun locked. And that is the Naga taken care of again. Okay, our favorite game. What time do you think this game ends?
I am not seeing actually what time it is right now.
I think it's 21:45.
Okay, so that is our favorite game, 21:40. So I'm gonna say this game ends at 29 minutes.
I'm gonna say... Damn, that was a really good guess. 27.
That's a fair one. That's a fair one. I'm sorry I took away your guess, but you were the one asking, so you were kind of asking for it either way. Still, I just want to see how Rhea played this game, because I just don't see it. I don't see them doing it. They have the dispose, sure, but it's not a punch hook that is gonna disposition someone super heavily. Your ultra late game, the Naga Siren doesn't fight against heroes of M11. I just don't see it. There has to be so many unforced errors from M11 that I just can't even picture it in my head right now.
Yeah, I don't really get the Naga last pick whatsoever. I guess if you know, in a perfect, no, still in a perfect world, doesn't really make that sense. Also, the Weaver not going for Spirit Vessel kind of bugs me. Get it? Weaver bug. But it is an item you need in this game. They have so much healing on their side. Every single fight, you also get that heal bomb coming in from the Dawnbreaker, and if it doesn't do what it's supposed, it just heals everyone up back to full, and they're just lacking severely in ways of killing the opponents. Not that it matters at this point, they're 21k
Dire's
behind,
courier has been
but
killed.
they just, yeah, their draft is all over the place. Hiding choices I'm not 100% agreeing with either, and yeah.
I mean, those are some basics that you really have to nail in Dota, to be honest, to even be allowed to play the game, which they are not allowed right now because they don't even have a home. Imagine being in your base 20 minutes in and you cannot do anything. You don't have damage, you don't have lockdown, you don't have teamfight, you don't have anything, and I'm thinking now that my guess of 29 minutes wasn't as good as you thought.
Depends on, you know, if M11 want to finish it now or if they want to go back and a couple more fun axes and get a free axe for Rubik. That's always a nice one. With the current Rubik scenario, it still always bugs me, something bugs me, how that axe swaps your spells around sometimes. But there's a big gas coming through. They're trying to go for a fight here. The damage is insane. Alchemist does take a decent amount of it though in return. But the Naga is forced back towards the fountain. Zip from downtown gets the kill onto Marcy. Oh, actually, no, that's the Morphling that gets the kill onto the Marcy. But Naga is all alone and will not be able to really contest. And there's the GG call. 24 minutes, almost 55 minutes it seems, will be the ending of the game. And yeah, okay, I guess I was slightly closer.
They were closer. I mean, M11, they just crushed this one. I think Rhea have learned that you cannot pick a Naga into an Alchemist even if it's an offlane one. Guess what? He can buy a Radiance and he can win a game against you. I think if they had a tower pusher on the offlane, that maybe you can go that route, but you have a Weaver, you have a Void Spirit, and you have a Naga Siren. So Weaver and the Void Spirit, the only way that you can play that game is if you're absolutely crushing the opponents, and you're not going to be doing it. You're up against the Storm, he can always get out. You're up against the Dawnbreaker, too tanky. You're up against the Rubik, who can get himself out, and the Morphling as well as the Alchemist are going to be very tough to kill. So I think that it's not only about their lineup, it's also about what they were playing against and how their heroes work against those. So I'm thinking you really need to go back to the drawing board.
Game 1 had a draft that was definitely a lot more possible. Game 2, the draft just kind of, you know, it's one of those situations where it just flies out of your control and there's no way to try and rectify it. The Naga really was not the answer in the end either. But I did really enjoy game number 1. Game number 2 was kind of just, you know, a snowball out of control that we did see coming from a mile away.
Yeah, for sure. It was easy to predict what was gonna happen. I think when you are the underdog, you should stick with classic Dota lineups and not try to be super cheesy, because if you're up against the better team, up against the better captain, if you try to cheese them, you're probably gonna be ending up doing it to yourself, and the enemy captain will deal with whatever you're throwing his way. So I think this time around Ramsey Sakai adventure just...
I still think, you know, cheese is like the way to go in some situations. But the problem is with how, of course, Dota works right now. Most of the good cheese heroes are terrible. Broodmother is terrible. Arc Warden is terrible. Tinker is terrible. Well, Arc Warden is not terrible in like pubs, but Arc Warden is terrible against Marcy.
Yeah, that is true. That is literally true. Against the Marcy, he's just unplayable. To be honest, I think that the Arc Warden might be a bit underrated, and we might start seeing it, because that Aghanim Scepter build with like an Octarine core and stuff like that, it is just dumb. It is dumb. I played against it, and it's so hard to play against that one. I don't know if I've seen it in competitive, but I am looking forward for an Arc Warden expert to really show us how it's done.
I'm actually surprised that we haven't really seen any Arc Wardens being picked up. It's of course a specialist hero, but it's also, you know, there's a decent amount of people that like playing Arc Warden, and there are definitely some regions and some players that could try it out, but no one actually does dare to, you know, touch it with their hands. Maybe they're keeping it for the major, you never know. You know, keep it in the back pocket for some of those top tier teams. You know, Miracle and Arteezy always spring to mind when I think about that very scary hero. But yeah, cheese can be good, I also always think of Huskar and Meepo, but those two are also heroes that are really not that good lately. But what is good is the performance coming into this game. Let's see, who's going to be your MVP for this one, do you think?
I'd put it at the Alchemist. I wouldn't say that he did the most, but he was the hero that made Rem Sisekai's Adventures game impossible.
Well, it is going to be Ramsey that is the MVP here. 61% kill participation. I think he was the Morph. Oh no, wait, was he the Storm? Sometimes I'm lost with the names.
You just need to say it with confidence. This was the Morphling. You know, you get that one?
It
So
was the
now we know.
Storm, though. It was the Storm. Rams was the Storm. So at least we know that he did have a very impactful game. He had 0 deaths and like 13 kills, I think. So obviously pretty good in his performance. But it also does help that their position 4 was very solid as well. Hated previous game as well on the, I think it was the Monkey King, and this time on the Rubik Sublime. However, there is more Dota to be witnessed. We'll be going towards a short little break. Then I'm going to be swapped out for, I think, 8-Bone Zeus.
That's true.
And,
That's true. I know that one.
Yeah, he knows that. He's learning. And then Harry Freak will continue on with the broadcast. Hopefully you'll enjoy the cast. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Continuing device. Here all along. I knew Valora was lying when she said Mars destroyed you. Well, where and when should we go first? Huh? Oh, great. Look at you!
There was a thing in the woods. But once a year, it left the woods to feast on us. Then one year, out of the woods came nothing. Another year passed, and another. Over time, we forgot our fear. turned our backs on the dark. Slivers of the mad moon hang forgotten in our sky, slowly aligning. It is time again. The tide rises and brings with it something dire.
Don't let this party scene fool you. This world is a dangerous place. When you get to be my age, you'll see friends come and go. It's important to take care of the ones still kicking. In the heat of battle, you'd be surprised how far a little kindness might go. But not everyone deserves kindness.
Hello, Auntie.
This all you brought?
Yes.
Oh. Attaboy! I didn't offer to share.
Goodies!
Any layman with a feeble grip can carve wood or hammer steel. Even the tender hands of a child can grasp a set of instructions. But to create something takes rare hands, shrewder hands, handsome, brilliant hands. The hands that forged the first scepter of power. My hands have slipped through dimensions, touching things that warp the mind and test the mettle of the strongest will. from the far reaches of the astral plane, beyond countless dimensions. Monsters, beasts, beasts without legs, beasts that are only legs, heroes that aren't heroes at all. I have brought them here to answer one simple question. Can your hands wield the true Aghanim scepter?
Oi, space face! Crack one! Oh.